Okay, we're broadcasting. Now the channel is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play Apocalypse Roadtrip.
Yeah! Road trip!
I'm Christiana Ellis, and I am going to be I believe it's called the Keeper in this. Actually, now I'm suddenly not sure. I think the Keeper is from like Monsters of the Week. Did it ever? Am I the Fates? No, the Fates is from another game. I don't know if there's an official title
It just
for
says
my role.
GM in
GM is
the rule
fine.
book.
So in any case, the Game Master. Our players tonight: Nobilis,
Hi there.
Paul Weimer,
I don't have to do any rhyming for this.
Not yet, anyways.
Not yet, anyway.
and in the form of a tiny little gingerbread cookie, Liberdet.
Hi.
So, we are not playing our usual campaign of Dungeons and Dragons Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel tonight because we are missing a couple of players. But instead, we're going to play a special game of Apocalypse Roadtrip, which is a very cool little game that I just discovered just this week and I thought would be a lot of fun to play. So, just a quick discussion about it. It is written and designed by Mynar Lenahan. And the tagline is, Apocalypse Road Trip, kaiju, UFOs, and cryptids on the open road. And so it's a Forged in the Dark game, which means that it borrows its dice mechanics from games like Blades in the Dark. And we will talk a little bit about what that means, but it basically just is the mechanics for how we set up a roll and what dice you roll and so on when you're trying to accomplish something. But the setting is all new here. And so one of the things that I'm going to read through here at the beginning is the timeline disputed in parentheses. Because it really kind of gets across what this game is all about. So, 9 years ago, weird portals appear around all over the place. Strange reports are given in the news and on the internet, largely disbelieved and dismissed as a hoax. However, some speculate as a sign of alien life. 7 years ago, Project Gateway starts, a research project funded by the military. Physicists study the appearance of the weird portals, learn how they work, and try to figure out how to do something useful with them. It is largely unsuccessful. 1 year ago, something goes wrong. Portals open too wide and don't close. Things come through. 10 months ago, civilians in isolated communities near military research sites begin to notice cryptids and kaiju turning up, wrecking homes, attacking people, making nests. Some just wander around confused. Civilians are evacuated or, contrastingly, told to stay in their homes. It's disorganized and people panic. 9 months ago, the United Stars Federation, USF, land in flying saucers, telling humanity they come in peace. Some people are frightened by them, some listen. The aliens say their only wish is to help with the portals and the cryptids. Some believe them. 6 months ago, the USF deals with the invading creatures with help from both their advanced technology and the military. It's an impressive show of force and morale booster. Footage goes out of them taking down loads of invasive creatures and some kaiju very quickly. People warm up to the idea of joining the Federation. 5.5 months ago, the USF publicly demands that the military give up their arms and surrender to them. The peacekeeping forces of the Federation will take care of Earth's security from now on. The military is not receptive to this idea. 5 months
Surprising no one.
Yes. 5 months ago, war breaks out. Flying saucers are blown out of the sky. Military bases are razed. Cities and towns are destroyed. Bombs are dropped frequently. Kaiju, weird creatures, and civilians continue wandering around confused in the crossfire. People flee their homes, take to the road, and try to find somewhere to stay alive. And now, you gather your things, form a group of survivors, and do the one thing you can't put off. And so, as described there, this is a story about a group of ordinary people, Or they can be extraordinary in some way. For example, there's no reason you have to play a human. But we are playing a game where you are not superheroes. You don't have magic. But you might have access to weird alien technology, for example. But you are together a group of people who have decided that they need to go somewhere to do a thing. And it might be multiple things. You might have each different things. But you have decided that you're better together than apart. And you're going to try to accomplish things in this crazy world where there's aliens and military bases and refugees and cryptids and portals and etc. So I'm excited. Are you excited?
I am
Yes.
excited.
Okay. So each of you should have your character sheet. And if the first thing that you need to decide on is your name and pronouns. And then you will have selected a past life, which means what did you used to do before the world all went to hell? And you're going to select a trait based on that. You're going to select a traumatic event to represent your first encounter with the war. And then you're going to select a daily life, which reflects what were you doing before you joined this group. And you get a trait related to that as well. Now, does anyone... is anyone still working on those? Do you need help with that, or has everyone picked those for your characters?
I'm
Um,
ready.
I need some help.
Okay, okay, that's fine. So
Okay,
where are you at?
I've got my past life.
Mhm.
And I've got my daily life now.
Okay,
The past life was librarian, and daily life is roam from place to place, delivering messages and whatnot.
Mhm.
So traits that go with that.
Mhm.
I mean, daily life, like something like far traveler,
okay. Well, so what?
sounds reasonable,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
one from librarian doesn't really sound. I mean, the only thing that I can
well-
think of is analytical or something.
Or
thing that-
knowledgeable, or
The thing that came to mind to me is book smart.
Okay.
And I think that works because part of the goal when selecting a trait in this particular game is like in some other games where you have, like Fate, for example, where you have aspects. What we're looking for here is something where it makes sense that it would help you in some circumstances, but it also might be something that could be theoretically a negative in other circumstances, right?
Yeah.
But book smart certainly seems to work for me if you like that.
Yeah. And I'm gonna take far out of there and just have traveler.
Okay. For daily lives, you just that you've been traveling all over the place. You've been doing a lot of sightseeing already.
Yep.
Okay, that works.
Keep moving.
So those are fine. So once you have we're gonna introduce all these things in a moment, but
Yeah.
but once you have those assigned, make sure that you assign your trait dice. Now, to start, because you have only 2 traits and you have 6 dice to assign, and each one can only be a maximum of 3, it should probably not be too difficult to initially assign the trait dice.
oh, you can only put two traits down.
Correct. Well, for now.
For now, because we have a past life and we have a daily
That
life.
is part of how advancement works, is you can assign new traits.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Cool.
Yeah, that is my understanding of the mechanic here. It's it basically it all ties into how certain types of roles work and advancement in getting new traits. So that is my understanding, is that you start with the 2 traits. You presumably would put 3 dice in each. And that if we get to advancement, which we'll see if that happens in tonight's session,
Yes, yeah.
you could get new traits. But in the meantime, but then also you want to set your goal, which is what is it that your character wants to achieve, and depending on what you depending on how big your goal is, like you could have something that is an incredibly huge goal. You could have it be a very small goal. It doesn't matter. The only thing that really matters in this particular context is that it makes sense that your character would be with the rest of this group. meaning if everyone has a goal to get to the northwest city of Sugar Springs, then you don't want to have your goal be to go the opposite and stay as far away from Sugar Springs as you can, right? So,
Right.
Right.
so if everyone kind of can think about the goal that you want to have, that works. You're also going to start the inventory. That this reflects only what you can carry on your person, because you're all going to have a vehicle that you use as well, and the vehicle can store stuff too. So this initial inventory is just what you have, like, that you carry around with you when you leave the car or whatever. And so you're selecting from different 6 different categories: tools, weird tech, fuel, ammo, snacks, and meds. Meds you need in order to heal harm, snacks you need in order to stay, fed, right? Ammo and fuel are needed by some other kinds of equipment, right? Like, so if a tool is a rifle, then you need ammo for your rifle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what you can, so you have 4 slots that you want to pick, and you can decide right now if you know what tool you want to have, you can decide. But you can also just write down one tool and then later decide in the moment what the tool is. Like if you suddenly realize, oh, we really need to have a crowbar, I'm going to decide that this tool is a crowbar and it's a crowbar. But then you would change, obviously, to say it's a crowbar. Once you've decided it's a crowbar, you can no longer have it be undefined. So that once you have all of that, is everyone ready to introduce the basics of your character?
I am.
Just about, yes. Okay, so we're not getting a trait from our traumatic event, correct?
Correct. My understanding based on the rules here is that you have 2 traits, one based on your past life and one based on your daily life. And I'll point out too that the book has lots of good examples of past lives, traumatic events, and daily lives to choose from.
Yeah,
I
I stole my traumatic event from there, and kind of like I think that's influencing what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be. I'll put the trait I have.
Okay. So
yeah.
if how would you like to go first then, Novellis?
Okay, so I'm playing a character inspired by the main character of a podcast that I was on for a long time called This Kaiju Life, which is still out there, by the way. And so I'm playing Jim, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised how many people misspell it. I was an IT manager at Kaiju Research Labs. And unlike all the other labs that were studying really important things like portals and aliens and things like that, these bozos decided to study the kaiju. And I was the IT manager there. When something broke, they called my shop to fix it, even if it wasn't actually IT. And we did our best. But one day, all the kaiju got out and destroyed the lab. And it might have been my fault, but one of my traits is covering my ass, so I'm never going to admit it. And daily life was I lived at the KRL dorms until it was destroyed just the other day. So my daily life is still kind of mostly in front of me. I've been stumbling around in the ruins trying to find the rest of my team since then, and I just hooked up with these guys. It's like, all right, you're going someplace, that's good. I'm better off with a bunch of weirdos than I am on my own. So here I am.
All right.
And my traits are information technology, with the information in parentheses because most of it could end up being,
sure.
I've had my fingers in all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And my other trait is covering my ass.
All right.
I like that last one.
What is your goal?
My goal is to find the members of my team. They must have survived. They nothing seems to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to find the rest of the people on my team.
How many people is that?
uh, Jim's concept of what his team is. I mean, there's at least four.
Okay.
But Jim is very expansive in what he considers his team. So if he finds another survivor from KRL, that's a member of his team, and he's going to.
All right.
Ah, so you have a flexible definition of the word team.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably going to end up being his goal for as long as we play.
All right. So, thank you, Jim, for introducing yourself. Who would like to go next?
I can go.
All right.
Why not? Okay, so my name is Richard Pearson. I'm 35 years old. I was once upon a time an adventure photographer. I lead expeditions out with people to take photos and show them the wonders and happiness of nature and the great outdoor world. That all ended kind of one day when things started falling apart, and well, a crashing spaceship kind of changed my eye. You can see it kind of glows red now and is not exactly biological anymore. I have alien technology kind of embedded in me and I can't get it out. And I have this voice in my head. That's my goal, to find a spaceship, a working spaceship of my own. So in the meantime, I scavenge through ruins. I look for stuff for my day-to-day life, and I'm always searching for a spaceship because that's what the voice in my head tells me I need to do. So my traits are outdoor adventurer and searcher.
Okay.
Do any of you recognize Richard Pearson as a name?
It sounded vaguely familiar, but I was not.
War of the Worlds.
Oh, there you go.
Dr. Richard Pearson. Well, he's not a doctor in this one. I was going with that, but then when Lee was saying you wanted an academic, like, oh, well, let me take a right turn here and make him something else.
Sure.
So,
all right then. So thank you, Richard. And last but not least.
All right. I named my character Tara Burns.
Okay.
Not inspired by anyone or anything.
That's allowed.
allow it.
In her past life, she was a librarian. I'm not sure what kind of library she worked in, but she was a librarian until the military forced an evacuation before they dropped a nuclear bomb on her home.
Oh no.
So since then, she's been kind of roaming from place to place, delivering messages and whatnot. And her goal is to find a safe place to build a new library.
Okay.
New library. That's a very hopeful
Just
goal.
don't break your glasses.
She doesn't wear glasses.
Oh, yeah, what did
Unlike me.
she'd have time enough
But there was time now.
Oh,
So her
borrowing.
traits, yeah, like, so as we discussed previously, her traits are book smart and traveler. And
Okay.
I kind of want to say that, you know, she was the type of person that would save up for a couple of years and go on a really big trip.
All right.
So before all of this happened, she was a traveler. So she's kind of comfortable in that never staying in one place for now kind of role.
Okay. Well, so the next step is for each of you to create your starting bonds with your fellow travelers here. And so in this context, you are just going to put the character's name and a just sort of a brief first impression of them. And it could be a first impression like you've just met, or it could be someone you've known for a long time, whatever. There's no, you don't have any bond points with them at this point, but this is where you're going to track those. And so each of you will have 2, obviously.
Right. Lee, what was your character's name again?
Tara.
I'm thinking that Jim would come and use the library Wi-Fi when the Wi-Fi in the office was too slow. So he's often just kind of grumbling, stomp in, slam his thing down, sit down at one of the study tables, pull out his laptop, and start working there.
Okay, because it's better than going to a bistro or a cafe.
Right. I mean, those places are always so noisy.
Yeah. Okay.
How active is Jim? How active is Tara, for that matter?
As active as Jim?
Yes.
Jim is way more active than he'd like to be. He spends a lot of time crawling through tunnels and climbing up into the crawl space above the hallways. He's often pushing a heavy tech cart from one side of the lab to the other at top speed because some general or PhD or somebody has to have their IQ, have
Wow.
their equipment now, and so he would rather just relax, but no, he's constantly moving.
Constantly moving. So how do you relax when you're off duty? How do you relax when you're off duty?
He's the guy's in charge. He's never duty. I mean, as soon as he goes to bed at midnight, completely exhausted, and then gets woken up at 6 a.m. by a page, and everything is always him first. And even when he can delegate it to somebody else, because there's way more work than one person can do, I mean, the way he relaxes is when everything is so completely fucked up that he has to wait for parts or something like that. And then usually he just pulls out a book. Okay. Because anything having to do with technology is just like
too much.
It's too much.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
He's got a ratty copy of Forever War in his satchel, and he's never been able to get all the way through it because something's always interrupting.
Yeah, I think Tara would have given Jim the good password, the password to the good Wi-Fi, the non-public Wi-Fi, just so that he wouldn't hack it.
Well, there's the one with the filters on it, and then the one
there's the one there's the one the staff can use.
Yeah.
So what about Tara? What does Tara do for fun?
Tara likes she's not an outdoorsy person. I think she was in her youth, but librarianship does not really has not really given her that opportunity to be that kind of outdoorsy person. She mostly likes visiting cities, and historical sites and stuff. So she thinks Richard's knowledge of the outdoors and survival stuff is very useful.
Okay, so I was a patron of the library. I mean, I would generally be looking up the roadside geology of whatever state we're in and getting lots of information out of the books and hiking trails and all of this stuff all the time. And I think I was a former coworker of Jim's before I got out of IT and doing this sort of stuff, because I like to play with like high-end cameras and recorders and all that other stuff, but I just turned it into an outdoor thing rather than being in the guts of a machine 24/7 as Jim is. So I kind of quote unquote escaped that rat race until of course things went fall apart, but and now we're all in the soup together. So I knew the both of you back way is what I think.
Yeah.
All right. So has everybody got your 2 starting bond descriptions? Yeah. You want to read those real quick? Just
patron of the library, former coworker.
Okay. Well, so and that's all fine, but I think the goal here, the examples per the book are a little bit more like feeling opinion based as opposed to just like
coworker feeling bad for Jim's entangled life. Mm-hmm. But patron of the library wishes Tara would get out more.
All right, there you go. That's great.
Yeah, there you go.
Like And Jim is that grumpy guy who needs the good Wi-Fi password, and Richard is that outdoorsy person who has a lot of useful knowledge now.
All right.
uh,
So, oh yeah, go ahead.
and Jim's for Tara is she's better to me than I deserve.
Aw.
And Richard is I need a guy like him. Uh, um,
I mean,
uh,
that can be enough.
yeah.
Yep. How do you guys
Yeah.
feel about my eye? Do you talk about it? I don't. It's just kind of there.
Jim's seen weirder. I
I
mean, come on, impress me.
I want to say that this is the library is close enough to a university that it's you're not going to scare that kind of thing is not going to scare her versus some of the university kids she's seen.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't cover look, but Jim goes around in an old science fiction convention T-shirt,
Nice.
and it's for a con that's been defunct for 20 years.
Well, what con isn't defunct now?
Well, yeah, but for longer than that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Kaiju Con was a thing back then, but then they're actually real now, and you're like, okay, yeah, I think we need to just.
Well, Kaiju Con morphed into a research conference.
Got to interrogate all those nerds to see if any of them actually know real things or if it was really all just bullshit. All right. So the next thing for you to decide now as a group is, what is your group vehicle?
I think the group vehicle belongs to Richard. It's a Jeep. It's a
Yeah.
dirty all-terrain
It's an
vehicle.
all-terrain vehicle that
Okay.
goes very well off-road. Better off-road sometimes than on the road.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think that when Tara was traveling, she had a off-brand Corolla, but with the addition of these two guys, it just makes more sense to travel in the Jeep because it's bigger.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that is your group vehicle. Now, the next thing is to decide where you start on the map. Now, the book has some great mechanics for how to build a roadmap from scratch, a custom one. I am just using the example one that's in the book, and so I've got that here, and that's what's being shown on the stream. And I've got a little token here that is going to represent your location, but the place I've got the token right now is not necessarily where you want to start. So I'm asking you all the question now, where do you want to start? Note that in general, any of these named places are considered communities, and that the number of different hexes for them is going to be generally reflective of how big the community is.
Right.
Okay.
I think I would like to start like in the middle, because Jim is looking to like visit all the local communities and see if there's a member of his team there, because he doesn't think they would have gone far.
Okay. Well, I've just made the token available to move from anybody, so feel free to place it wherever you would like.
Are you thinking like St. Victor?
Yeah, on the outskirts of St. Victor, I'm thinking. Yeah.
I mean, St. Victor's got plenty of gas and
Yeah.
other things that
Yeah.
could be useful, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So it is, as we just described, the 4 inventory slots that you each have chosen from is what you can carry on your person, and it is what you start with. The car can certainly carry more stuff, but you would need to get that more stuff, right?
Okay.
So what you have in those first 4 slots is what you have to start with. You can carry more in the car once you get it. But so the next question is basically, what time of day do we want to start, and what is your first plan? And the plan in this context, I will explain how it works mechanically, but the short version of it is, what is it that you're actually going to try to do next? You have your broad goals, but what are you doing right now? And example plans would be travel somewhere from point A to point B, to search the hex that you're currently in, to do any other action or create a situation based on what's there, to do lookout, to keep an eye on something for a while, or to rest. Those are all examples of plans.
I want to start by searching Saint Victor
For
for
your
my
teammates.
teammates.
Okay.
What was your goal, Paul?
To find a working alien spaceship, because the
Oh,
voice in
okay.
my head tells me I need to find one.
Okay, so we can also look for any clues towards that.
Towards that, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so all of those things might be.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's my big overarching goal is probably much beyond this session, but
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
whole campaign goal. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm content to help Jim and Tara in the meantime.
Mhm.
Tara, what are you look? What's your overall your arching goal again?
To find a safe place to build a new library.
Right.
Okay,
So
right.
so
So,
the plan
goal.
would be to search a place. And generally
Yeah.
speaking, you search the hex that you're on, if
Mhm.
that's your plan. But we're also choosing your starting location, so you can put your token on any location that you want to be the place that you're going to start searching.
Well, do we want to? Do we want to start in Saint Victor? Yeah, let's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's most likely to be
Yeah.
your
Okay.
teammates are
Yeah.
most likely to be in the city, or they'll know. Oh yeah, Bob
Mhm.
hangs out that shack outside town. So yeah, so we
Yeah.
get intelligence
Mhm.
that way.
So you've
Right.
placed your token on a hex that has the tool icon. What that
Mhm.
means is that it is going to be a place that has plenty of tools. You will expect that there are going to be tools somewhere in this hex, and
Yeah.
that's generally how that's going to work. And so right now, if your plan is to search, you all do have your individual goals of things that you're looking for. But part of what the way this works, and this is similar to Blades in the Dark when you're planning heists, where there's going to be a reward that you're seeking to get and an obstacle that you need to overcome. And some of this is going to get determined by the roll. So first, for the search plan, you're going to loot somewhere, ask around for information, or explore a place. Might include asking around a place for information, looking for a creature in the woods, or looking for an interested buyer to purchase weird tech you found at an old crash site. And you're going to, once we do the roll, you can basically say how many time increments you want to spend searching, and you can take depending on how many time increments you spend, you can get extra die because you're taking the time to do it. So the first so the let's decide what time of day it is to begin with. As we initiate our first plan, what time of day is it? We can roll a d12 to decide if you want, but then that could also end
Let's
up
just
being
say
in the
noon.
middle of the night.
Let's
Noon?
just say
All
noon.
right, so it's noon.
Fine.
There are 12 ticks of time in a 24-hour period. So, but for the detail, what are you specifically looking? Are you just sort of idly seeing what there is to see? Are you like you can certainly be looking. Like if you can decide as a group that you're looking for something really specific, or you can just generally
Well,
like so. This is all gonna get determined by the the reward, right? Like how specific it is gonna.
Yeah. I'm going around talking to people
Mm-hmm.
to try to find anyone who knows about the people that I'm looking for.
Okay, so to be clear, in this particular circumstance, the way that the plan works, we can do that. I'm not telling you that we can't do an ordinary sort of thing where you just do normal rolls and stuff. We will get to that, but for the purposes of the plan here, we want a group goal,
Oh, okay.
and it can just be search for useful things, right?
Search for useful
Yeah,
information.
search for
Yeah.
searching for useful things because
Well, useful things or useful information.
okay, we all have to pick one. Oh, let's go for information. Information is
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
Let's go for information.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the way and in this context, you're going to choose how much time you're spending.
I
Like-
probably don't want to be out and about after dark, so let's use 3 ticks.
6
Okay.
hours? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Let me double
Yeah.
check.
We can do that.
After dark, people hole up anyway and are harder to talk to anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you come in calling after dark, you're usually trouble.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
All right. So, what that means then is that because you are taking that 3 ticks worth of time to do your search. Sorry, I'm scrolling through stuff. Um, sorry, I lost the plan. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you're going to take 1 extra die for every time spent. So that's going to be 3.
mhm.
And then as we build a roll, we're building what's called the engagement roll, which is going to determine, like, as you initiate your plan, how things are going. It's going to help us determine what the obstacle is and what likely reward you might be able to get from it. And so, do any of you have traits that would be useful in your search for useful information?
Not currently.
No, mine are mostly gained to outdoor searching for things generally. What um what about you, Tara?
I'm thinking because I'm a traveler.
Mm-hmm.
I deliver messages and stuff. And so
So
you know,
maybe
I might know people in this hex who have
you've traded messages before. You know a guy who
yeah.
knows a gal who might know something.
And I know the cousin of the sister of the aunt of the
Former roommate.
Yeah.
yeah.
So maybe you've kind of been through this area before enough that you have at least some starting points that you might check. And
Yeah.
so we can say that gives you an additional +1. So we're at +4 now. I believe that we start with 1. No,
Yeah,
Every action roll in Fortress Dark starts with 1 by default.
so you start with 1, and we're at +4, so it would be 5 total right now. Does anyone have a trait that would be unhelpful in this regard?
I don't think so.
Or might not be,
No.
but in this case. Nobody has any injuries or fears yet, so we're not dealing with that. Do we spend extra time on it? We did. That's we already kind of built that in. And then you didn't spend any time on lookout ahead of time. So what we're at is 5d6. And so we're going to have someone roll 5d6, and then the lowest die result will tell us what the obstacle is, and the highest die results will tell us what the potential reward is. And then you will initiate play by trying to overcome the obstacle. And if you do, then you get the reward. See how that works?
Okay. Anybody mind if I do the
Yeah, I kind
No,
of think
go
it's
right ahead.
this search is your deal, so you roll.
Okay. The highest die is a 6. The lowest die is a 2.
Okay. So are there more than 1 6?
Nope.
So there's 1 6.
1
and,
6.
And the lowest is a 2. So with the lowest being a 2, that means you're going to have a risky obstacle, which we'll decide in a moment. And because you've got a 6, you will achieve just what you set out to do. You'll get useful information in this context.
Okay.
Which means that if you can surpass this risky obstacle that we will establish, there will be useful information awaiting you.
Okay.
So, with a risky obstacle, this is something that gives you pause. By default, the position is risky, and that's how the individual rolls will work, is that you are going to determine before you roll every time whether your situation is secure, risky, or desperate, and then you're going to determine the level of effect there will be, and then you roll. So, but your obstacle is risky, and so it means that by default you're dealing with risky situations, and it sometimes requires a 4 or 6 step clock to overcome. And so I'm going to say that we are starting this first one with a 4-step clock, just to make things not too complicated to begin with.
Okay.
And so there, I have a list of potential risky obstacles here. That let's see what could be useful here. Um, okay, I think that uh, you have okay. I know what it is. So I think that you have um, let's create an NPC here that Tara knows based on having been through this place, and they work at a gas station that has a car repair shop on it.
Okay.
That's there's tools here, right? So you are coming straight to this place because you have this guy who know he's the gossip. He's the everyone comes through here. He knows what's going on. Who is this person? What's their name? And we want to.
For some reason, let's just say his nickname is Guinness.
All right.
Guinness.
Okay.
So and let's get
that's what he goes by.
yeah. Let's get a detail about Guinness from everyone. So Lee has already suggested the name, so let's get 2 more details.
Guinness likes beer.
Okay.
Guinness is not beer.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not beer, but he likes beer, and maybe you've delivered beer to him before. I've traded beer to him for stuff he's found. So yeah, so he likes beer. That's his kryptonite and his love.
All right.
So leaves little bills to come up with another detail.
He's really proud of his trophy. No, his championship ring from being the lead quarterback on his University of East Jerska football team.
Oh, Scorpions!
Yes. Go Scorpion Bats.
Even better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and likes to show it off.
okay, so I think that what happens here is that you all kind of pull into this gas station, and it is strangely seems to be all boarded up and shut down, which is not what you expected. And what when you are so I guess that's the first thing you see is that you pull up to this service station, but despite you knowing Guinness runs this place, it seems to be all closed up and boarded up as a very recent development.
Is it fortified or abandoned?
Those are two
It
different
looks
kinds
like
of boarded up. Yeah.
someone has just recently put up boarded up the windows.
Is the door boarded up too?
Well, the door does not have boards over it.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, Tara, this is your friend.
Let's
Do we knock
go.
on the door? Do we still knock on doors these days?
Yeah. Well, I do.
Okay.
You're so mannered and well cultured, even in this fallen age.
Well, it's a good way to not get shot.
I'm not knocking it.
Yeah.
So I'll walk up to the door, stand kind of not front and center to it, but a little off to the side, so that if someone peeks out the window,
Mm-hmm.
they can see me and knock on the door. Say, Guinness, you in there?
So there's a pause, but then you see one of the windows that's boarded up just to the right of the door has a little sort of section that's been broken and taped.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that there's like someone has there's been a like a plug someone has made for this corner of broken window.
Right.
And you see that the plug pulls away, and this is like up at the top of a high window, so it's like Guinness must be standing like on a step stool behind the window to look at you through this plug, and he just says, "Tara, what are you doing here?"
I've come to say hi. I had some questions. I need some information.
Okay, well, I mean, maybe I can so here's the problem. I've got some people looking for me. I kind of need some help. Kind of need some protection right now. Oh shit! And then he puts the plug back up, and then you hear just muffled, just like, "Don't tell him I'm here." And you realize that coming from behind you, there's a couple of cars that are rolling up into the same service station.
Okay. I'll make my way back to Jim and Richard and say, we need to throw these guys off and make them move along.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we can lie and dissemble. So yeah. So yeah. So just act. So yeah, just act as if there was nobody there, and
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have to explain why. They'll want to know why we're here. We were looking for your friend, and your friend wasn't here. Mox.
Now I need to figure out where to start from here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Too
we'll
bad I
play
don't have a Rolodex.
Well, so these two cars, like they're not, matching or anything. One I think is just sort of it's a Camry. The other one is a pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
They're both filthy, but they are like they're rolling in together, and then they both pull in, and the driver door of the pickup truck opens, and you get a big guy in he's got a leather jacket on, but he's wearing it over like some coveralls. And he's got some sunglasses on, and you see that like tucked in the back pocket, on a back pocket is like a big, like thick pair of rubber gloves. And he immediately is striding over to all of you with a big smile, and is just kind of saying, "Oh, so I don't suppose y'all looking for a Guinness?"
Oh, we were, but he ain't here. So we got to figure out our next steps.
Well, we're looking for Guinness too. So I think perhaps we could combine our efforts. I don't suppose any of you have any idea where he might have gone to, huh?
Doesn't he have folks over in White Line?
Are you trying to deceive them?
I'm not any good at this, but
I mean, it's like
nobody's really good at it.
No,
Yeah,
I think this sets up our first roll. So
yeah, it does.
So and remember too that part of what we're dealing with here is we have a 4-step clock, right?
Yep.
So the obstacle is surpassed when you have filled up the clock, and depending on the roll and how well it goes, you might get some number of ticks on the clock, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So to begin, you are what do you want to achieve with this roll? You're trying to give them a false lead, right?
Yep,
About
false
where
information.
he might go. And you're achieving it just by using, like
My natural charm.
Right. So you are not dealing with any kind of you don't have any piece of equipment that helps you, do you?
No, none of my equipment helps.
Okay. So because we are risky, That means twice the consequences if we proceed here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're starting with 1d6.
Yep.
And then if you have a trait that helps you, you can
Nope.
add.
Neither of my traits are good at
Okay.
lying, so
All right.
no.
And do you have any traits that you think would hinder you?
I don't think so. No.
All right. And no injuries or fears at the moment. You can choose to push yourself, which would give you 1 extra d6 for in exchange for taking 2 points of stress. Or you can also get another d6 for taking a GM's consequence, which is basically something negative that will happen automatically regardless of what else happens. But you get an extra d6 for the roll.
Okay. How important do we think this is, guys? Should I try it?
I think it's important. Go
Yeah.
try it, and I think you should push yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna push
Rather
myself
than-
for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you push yourself, then you're at 2d6. Do you want to take a GM's consequence as well?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
what-
for that, according to my reading, you can do one or the other.
Oh, yeah.
It says or.
Yeah, okay. It looks like or. So are you pushing yourself then or the other one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna push myself.
All right.
I'm gonna try to throw all my charm into this.
Sure. So you
Yes.
mark 2 stress,
I have done
and you're
so.
currently at 2d6. And does anyone assist?
I think we have to have.
Oh,
bond
right. No one
strength,
has
don't we?
bond points yet.
Yeah,
you
we have
can't
no
yet.
bond points
All right.
to throw that in.
So in that context, then you're basically just rolling 2d6, and
All right.
and this is going to be. Let's see. We need to know how the effect, and I think.
Oh
Normal
no!
Oh no!
Oh
Okay,
no!
yeah.
I think you're gonna
so,
pull out and shoot me or something.
Right.
with
So
2
I
ones.
was about to say that this would have usual effect.
Yeah, it's
for
usual
but
much-
but at the same time,
Couple
you just
failures.
rolled and you got 2 ones,
2
which
failures. Yes.
is very bad.
Wow.
It's
And
very
it's
bad.
risky, so it's twice the consequences. And so the result is you fail at what you set out to do. The GM will inflict a consequence. And so I think that this guy who is looking down at you, and you just say, has some family out in White Line, doesn't he? And he just kind of looks at you and goes, no. And then he waves to like some of his others, and they take their 2 cars and pull them up like in front and behind your Jeep.
Oh, this is not good. This is not good.
And I think that I think that he is he's gonna. Yeah, you were already you had so that happens, and also I think that he is going to I'm learning what the consequences can be. I think that I think that I think that when the cars move to block your Jeep, you also hear a sudden like small crash from inside the gas station and oh shit.
Okay.
And then so the guy is just kind of like,
Oh boy.
so looks to me like y'all are friends with Guinness and trying to hide him from us. Now, let me be clear here. I don't have any quarrel with y'all. But seems like if you were to get out of our way, let us do our business here, we can leave it at that as far as y'all are concerned.
Okay. Jim has been trying to hide in the back of the Jeep at this point. As soon as the cars pulled in,
He just
kind of
went and
dove into.
sat in the back seat of the Jeep, even though it's blocked right now.
Yeah, well, that's where he was when they arrived.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, he didn't get out. You didn't get out.
He hadn't
when he
gotten
went in?
out.
Okay.
Okay, he likes being where there's cover.
Okay.
But he's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, and he goes into his backpack, his not a laptop bag, um, and pulls out his weird tech, which
Okay.
is a um, uh, kaiju tranquilizer field, and it's designed um, to render today's creatures with lower mental functions, and he's hoping that these people aren't bright enough to resist it.
Okay.
Oh,
So, because I don't think I said it explicitly, I'm saying that there are 3 of these
Yep.
guys. There's one
Yeah.
left behind who is, sitting in the cab of the pickup truck, and just moved it. There's the guy who's driving the other car, and then the guy who got out and is talking to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So,
So, you're getting ready to do something from the backseat of the Jeep there?
I'm gonna try and use my experimental kaiju tranquilizer to try and knock these guys out.
Okay. So, I think the guy who got out is kind of standing right there with Tara and Richard, and the other 2 are
Yeah.
each in their respective cars. So tell me how this thing works.
Um. Well, the original idea was that you would activate this. It's a kind of a box. Let's say dodecahedron
Mhm.
shapes with some complicated controls on it for setting distances and times and stuff like that. It's kind of a bomb kind of thing.
Okay.
And the idea was the way it was designed was that you'd shove it in a pig or some other bait creature and feed it to a kaiju, and the kaiju would swallow it whole. And while it was going down his throat, it would pass by the kaiju's brain and done it on its way through its digestive system.
Okay.
So he's kind of cadging it to make it work on the people around him. And he knows it's coming, so he can kind of like try to resist it himself,
Okay.
but they'll be caught by surprise.
All right. So are you
Um,
thinking this is something that goes off once and then it's spent, or something that you can use more than once?
I can use it more than once, but it degrades every time.
Sure, sure. I think it was just like the difference where we might make it like super effective if it's only once, right? Like so.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So I think what we do is we're still risky.
Yeah.
You're starting with 1d6. Will a trait help you?
I think my technology skill
Sure.
would help.
All right. So
Mhm.
you'll
So
have.
there's 3 dice for that.
Is it? Oh, one with the equipment itself.
Um,
Because I don't
Yeah,
think you don't
okay.
add 2 for a trait. Oh, or
Oh.
no, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. If you have
Okay.
3 in
I
your
have
technology,
3 dice in my trait, so I
right?
get
So
3 dice
you're
for that.
so you're at 4 then.
Right. Well,
And that's before equipment.
right.
So if a trait would hinder you, you subtract.
Yeah.
And then if you have a piece of equipment, where what that does is increase or decrease the effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would be at 4d6, and then of course you can't. You still have the option of push yourself or take advantage.
I am going to
consequence.
push myself. I am freaking out, so
Okay.
I'm gonna take an extra die for that to make
Sure,
5.
sure. All right.
Um,
And I don't know that it makes so we don't have any bond for people to assist at the moment. So
yeah.
so it sounds like you're at 5d6.
Okay.
And I think your effect is going to be great effect because of your high effect because of the equipment.
Right. I should note
Um,
on the character sheet you gave out, it goes no effect, low effect, usable effect, no effect. So I changed it to high effect.
Okay, yeah, that's
Okay.
yeah. So high effect will be 3 ticks,
Yeah.
meaning you and so we'll see how it goes.
Okay. I rolled 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 5.
Okay, so only the highest matters in this context.
Yeah.
But what a 5 means is you hesitate, back off, or accept one consequence as described by the GM. So I think what is going to happen is I think the context that makes sense here is you think that it will probably work, but it might not take them out 100%, but it will definitely also your friends will take a level 1 stunned harm unless they resist it, which they can try to do.
Yeah. Well. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna. I. I mean, I figure this out after the fact.
Sure,
You're
sure.
that kind
So
of
yeah,
technologist.
so I think the way that that's going to work then is that you are able to kind of prepare yourself for it.
Yeah.
And in fact, actually, I do you think you have like a special headset or like sunglasses
Tinfoil
or
hat?
something that like
No, I just slam a can of Red Bull.
okay. All right, so
Aren't you running that out of that at this point? Do we have to go searching for some?
Well, I'm gonna mark degrade my snacks.
okay, so I think then with you accept the consequence that your friends are going to have a level 1 harm coming their way,
Yeah.
and so but you're going to get 3 out of 4 ticks to solve this
Yeah.
particular obstacle.
Okay.
And that's going to leave them like stunned and woozy, but everyone else has to now deal with the way this works is it would be a minor level 1 harm, which it means that while you have it, while you are stunned, you're going to have to always subtract 1 die on any roll affected by like mental acuity and concentration and that sort of thing. But what you can do is you can either just accept that harm or you can try to resist it. And the way that a resistance, if you want to resist it, you can roll a number of dice equal to the number of traits that you possess, which would be 2 to start. This is part of why, as you advance and have more traits, you're better able to resist things.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have any current relevant injuries or fears. But so each of you, if you want to resist, can roll 2d6.
Yep.
You should definitely be rolling 2d6 to
Yeah.
and
Nice.
so what you can do is you take stress equal to 6 minus the highest number rolled. And so for Lee, you got a 3 and a 5, which is 5 is the highest, which means you're going to take 1 stress, but you're able to resist the stunned injury.
Okay, I'll try the same thing.
Right. You got a 4, so that
So
means
it takes
yeah. 2 stress for you to resist.
I'm all right. I'm up to 4 stress already. This has not been good so far.
Well, it's what it takes. So,
I know.
So obviously these guys are shocked, stunned, woozy, dizzy, alarmed by this sudden shock. What does it look like? Is it like a shockwave? Is there, purple lightning bolts or something?
I think there's a brief smell of rotten cabbage and a kind of a sound of slightly off-tune violins playing a lullaby. No, not violins, cellos. Low frequency, soothing sound, and kind of a vibration in the air.
Nice.
Yeah.
What you know is that these guys are woozy and alarmed, but they are not yet dealt with or running away. So they're still there. They are now in a situation where they look like they're going to start trying to get violent, probably. But you got 1 more tick before they're dealt with.
You got something up your sleeve, Lee? Mine
what
mine went south, and
yeah,
Melissa's.
my mind went to my knee. Because if this guy's woozy, he's and
Hmm?
my mind went to, taking him by the ear, leading him to one of his cars, and say, you know, you think you're all that, but
Hmm?
you're really, really not. Just
Well,
get out of here.
okay. So if yeah, well let's see how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So you are basically trying to just librarian intimidate him
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
leaving.
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably don't have any equipment, or tell me, I guess, if you have a piece of equipment that you think would be helpful.
Um, I do have one tool
Uh-huh.
unspecified in my inventory.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Um, oh
Uh-oh.
god, that would be bad. It's like making it a very large dictionary.
Oh,
I mean,
come on.
I hey, you know what? That is allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, in this context, what tell me how the very large dictionary would be helpful.
Um, just because it is a very solid thing that you
Okay.
can use to whip somebody in the butt.
Okay.
Uh,
So you're using it
but
like a swatter as opposed to
yeah,
like a bludgeon.
yeah.
Okay. Is that what you
Um,
want to do?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm
Embrace
gonna
your
call it.
character.
I'm gonna call this a Pond's translation dictionary because those things are frightening.
Okay. So what I think then is that you're going to get some benefit of effect to using that. So you're starting with one die for luck. Is one of your traits helping you here?
Book smart.
I
As
I
my experience as a librarian and getting
yeah.
rowdy people out of the library.
I'll allow that, but I want a little bit of role play of the lecture you give him. Well, and
Okay.
also we'll see how it goes here in a second too, right? You know,
Okay.
based on the role, right? But I'll allow you to use the trait. So that would be 2d6. I don't think any of your traits would hurt you. You don't have any injuries that would affect you right now. Do you want to push yourself or take a GM's consequence?
Um, I'll take a GM's consequence. Let's have fun with this.
Okay, okay. So let's see. So you'll get an extra d6, but let's see. A very ordinary sort of consequence would be that you know what, and I think it makes sense in this context is that your dictionary suffers a point of degradation.
Okay.
And so it will have you know, it'll be slightly less effective until you can like take the time to repair it.
Okay.
So you have 3d6, I believe, at that point.
Well, I have 3 in book smarts.
Oh, right.
One
Yeah,
for the
I
dictionary.
keep forgetting that you add all 3 for the yeah, there you go. So go ahead and
So how many would that be? Would that be 5d6?
so you start with 1 plus 3 for book smart,
Uh-huh.
and
So
then
that's
plus
4.
yeah, and then
One
plus
for my
the
book.
GM's consequence for 5.
Okay.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
got a 6.
You did.
Yeah.
You got 1 6, which means you succeed. Describe what it looks like. And I need to hear some of this speech that you're shouting at this guy while you swat him in the butt with your dictionary,
Yeah.
and shoo him back to his pickup truck.
All right. All right. Let's. All right. Oh God. This is the hard part. Um. Let's see. All right. You're right. He is my friend, and I'm not going to sit by and let you do whatever you like. You think you're all that? Whack. Get in that car, get your friends, and get out of here now.
So I think that the degradation your dictionary uh, receives as a result of that, you will notice later that this pair of thick rubber gloves that he had sticking out of his pocket had some sort of a green goo on them that is now smeared on the cover of your dictionary.
Ew.
Yeah.
You.
You don't know what it is. It smells bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, but at the same time, I think that they are so startled by the kaiju stunner, and then just while they're disoriented, librarian energy scares them away. And so yeah, he kind of he's kind of trying to save face, but you can tell you've got him wigged out a little bit, and he's like, all right, come on, guys, we'll just we'll come back here later, I guess. All right, come on, let's get out of here. And they drive away. And you see that the little plug in the window pulls away for a second, and then it goes back, and the door unlocks, and you see Guinness out there. It's like, oh my God. Thank you so much. Oh my God. I don't know what I was going to do. I mean, I was hoping to try to just think that make them think that I'd left already, but yeah. So here's what's listen, I have a stash of tools that I was trying to put together for trading, because I'm getting out of here. But yeah, they decided that they needed those tools and didn't feel like they needed to trade me anything for them. And so I'm so glad that you all came through. I don't suppose you're looking for someone to join you on a cross-country trip to anywhere but here? I mean, obviously, I will share my stash of tools with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can come along.
And he just he actually just sort of slides down the wall and just sits and puts his head and his face in his hands again. It's like, oh, I'm so glad you guys came when you did. Oh, why did you come anyway? Like,
we're looking for some of Jim's old work buddies from KRL.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
And you are the person
might
who
have
knows
come
people.
through. He
Yeah.
thought somebody might have come through. They're kaiju research guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you ask about that, just because we did just get a crew of them come through just the other day. They were headed down to Henrietta. I mean, they seemed to think that, that's where I was thinking I was going to go if I could manage it, because they made it sound like it's pretty nice there.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm just definitely feeling increasingly absent friends around here, because nice people are getting chased away, and the military is trying to get everybody to go to their refugee camp, but I'm not sure I'm on board with that. And there's that weird fast growing moss that's starting to cover everything. I don't know if you can if you look out back, you can see it creeping across the field.
Okay.
So yeah, I just was feeling like now's the time to getting while getting is good. And but yeah, there's a couple of these KRL guys came through just a couple days ago. That's where they were headed.
All right. Well, let's get on the road.
Oh, thank goodness.
Get your stuff.
So if you so remember too that you spent reflective of this search is the 3 hours. And so what I'm actually going to say is that that's how long it's going to take for him to actually be ready to go.
Right.
Okay.
To load everything into the the Jeep.
Should be 6 hours, I should say, rather than 3. It was 3 ticks. So
It 6 hours.
right. So that means that it's going to be 6 p.m. by the time he's ready to move. But I'm going to say that he has got 5 generic tools that he's loading into your Jeep along with his stuff. So yeah.
You need a page for the Jeep.
Yeah. And I would say that as far as KRL people, and I'll even allow for finding a safe place for the new library. I will allow each of you to make one goal mark for that.
Okay.
to represent like a lead, like, KRL people, and maybe Henrietta is a nice place. And okay. So that means it's 6 p.m. It's time for another plan. Hmm?
A short-term plan would be to find a good place to spend the night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think lookout might be the right thing if that's how that works.
So the way Lookout works is so if you want to look for a place in this hex to rest, that's you can do that, and so you can do Lookout. Take some time. So bearing in mind that any of these plans, even Lookout, has the possibility of an obstacle that you might have to solve, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Same with Rest, for that matter. But once you are when you're doing a Lookout time, you can take, same as with Search, you can take number of times up to 3 and gain an extra die for each result. Or each time that you're spending looking out.
Doing a lookout.
Or we could just go straight to the rest action.
Yeah, doing a lookout gives you
Yeah.
an advantage to any other plan you attempt, whether it's watching for a secure place to rest, watching over travel to travel somewhere, or some after search. So rest. So doing the rest action sounds like that incorporates what we're doing. Lookout would be just to try to do that to another level to plan
Right.
for the rest. From what I'm reading here
Yeah.
on
I
on
mean,
page
Yeah.
13.
if he's
So-
got a garage, we can secure the Jeep in.
Well, so for example, I think it looks like.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I think that. I think that here's how this works. Okay, I'm pretty sure I've got it. So
yeah,
Lookout is a plan, and we'll do an engagement roll for it, and there might be an obstacle and the reward. But remember, in this context, you could always decide, like, if it's a severe obstacle that you don't want to deal with, you could just skip it.
Yeah.
And say we don't do that, which means we don't get the Lookout benefit, but you can avoid the obstacle. Right? So the engagement roll sets up, here's a potential reward, and here's the obstacle that you would have to clear to get that reward. But you can choose to not do that.
Yeah, to back off.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, let's try it. Let's see how the mechanics work. Let's do the Lookout and try and find
a safe place to rest.
Now, is this a group thing or is this something one of us does?
Well, so the engagement roll is a group thing.
Okay.
So everyone who wishes to help in the plan goes through and answers the following questions. Do any traits help for this Lookout? And I would say you've got a couple of, like the Traveler and Outdoor Adventurer are probably both good.
Covering my ass.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
we want someplace secure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although it does look to me like the more dice you roll, the more chance you potentially have of getting like the lowest die roll. Oh well, and it's fine. So so if any traits are factoring in, you add that number of die. So it sounded like you each had
3.
Yeah.
So that's 9 dice.
9. So 9 plus the original, right?
9 plus 2 is 10.
And no traits I think would hinder you. No injuries or fears right now. How much do you spend extra time on the Lookout?
1 tick is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I've like,
Just
yeah.
Yeah. And so you that's 11 d6.
Okay. Who wants to roll this? Shall I roll it?
Go ahead.
Roll 11 d6. Okay. This is going to be interesting.
Okay.
Well, okay.
So,
There's 1 6.
1 6, which means that you will achieve just what you set out to do, which is to find a safe place to
Rest.
Or no, okay, for the Lookout.
For
the Lookout, what you would be getting is your 1 die bonus.
Right, your bonus to find the place to rest.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, Oh, so okay.
We get one die bonus
You
on,
would
on
get
the
one die
rest?
bonus
Yeah.
for your engagement roll of trying to rest,
Right.
right?
Okay.
To reflect that you found a good, safe place, right?
Yeah.
So I think in this context, though, because there are the lowest die is a 1, that means it's a desperate obstacle, which means that
Wow.
to
Okay.
try to bypass that obstacle, the position is desperate. And so I think what that means is that as you decide to start seeing if there's a good place right near here and you're watching,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of look over that field where that moss that Guinness mentioned was,
Uh-oh.
and you kind of realize as you like you didn't notice at first, but as you sit there for an hour, like the leading edge of that moss is a good 15 feet closer to you by the end of that hour.
How about we
Oh,
just put on
wow.
the headlights and get rolling now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all can agree. Let us not deal with the moss.
Right.
there's
So,
a on the other side of town.
mhm.
There's an icon with a bed with a bed.
The bed.
Mhm.
Does that mean that that's a good place to rest
It,
already?
yeah, well, so it's a shelter, so it means that there's
Yeah.
probably it's going to be, and odds are there's going to be good places to rest there.
Okay, so how about we go there?
Okay, so you're going to have a plan then to travel to that
Yes.
location,
Right.
and you're
Yes.
traveling through the community, but you've got a jeep, which is not like too big, so you can kind of go around stuff. You're going to have you're basically making you're trying to travel 3 hexes, right? But you've
Mhm.
got your vehicle is good at that, so you can do 3 hexes in a tick on a good road.
Okay.
Okay.
In a community where things are under control, or rather things are not destroyed right now. But so let's trying to find where the sorry, I just my here we go. So places which would have shelter. Um, yeah. Okay. So go ahead and then we're gonna do an engagement roll for the travel.
Okay.
And so it is currently like 8 p.m. So it is starting to get dark as you're doing it because you spent a tick doing lookout, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And but you believe that one more tick will get you to that location if you can achieve it, right? Your goal, your travel
Nice.
from point A to point B. Um,
I don't
and
think we want to roll a lot of dice.
well, like it's the balance is that the more dice you roll, the more chances you have of getting a good reward, but also the more chances of a more significant obstacle,
Yeah.
right?
So,
Because if you get multiple 6s, you get even more than what you were looking for,
right.
right?
Right. But even just one will make things
Yeah.
Yeah,
different.
like the
Really.
creeping moss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But for a traveler, maybe this is something you want to take lead on, Lee?
Okay.
Mhm.
So,
But
how many dice did we decide?
Well, so we start with 1, and it's how many
I mean,
how many
yeah,
traits are coming into play.
I mean, your traveler will give us 3
because
more.
because I this is what is happening right now. So who's driving?
I'm driving,
Okay.
but I think
Yeah, but
Tara
Tara's
is my
traveler, I think.
navigator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could say you have four dice then to begin there, and then and I think that would be the roll unless you were really working to have it be more.
yeah, I think that's good. I think considering that this is uh four, if the highest number is a 4 or 5, we're still going to have a success, but with a consequence,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just go with those dice.
All right. So with your
Speak of the
46
devil.
there,
Ah,
yeah, you got a 1, which means it is a desperate obstacle again. But you only got a 4 as the highest, which means that you will achieve it, but it'll either be less than you hoped or it'll cost you something to get it. Now, bear in mind, this is for the travel, right?
Right.
the travel to
Right,
the place.
right. This is the travel to the place.
Yeah. So, and I think that in this consequence, yeah, what you've got is a desperate obstacle. This is the worst possible thing. By default, the position is desperate. Worst case scenario might require a large clock and sometimes several days to overcome. Examples include, and so I think, um, yeah, let's see. I think that you get, um, as you are driving through the center of this community, you suddenly start feeling the vibrations through the wheels. And you realize with the shrill, piercing roar coming from above the sky, you look up and there is an enormous creature with tentacles and horns and pincers lumbering above the roofs of the buildings, and simultaneously you see three flying saucers circling around it, shooting lasers at it. You have just driven yourselves into a war zone.
Wonderful. Not.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I need another route. Terror, I need another route now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to go around the outside of that. No one wants to go straight through the middle of that.
Well, yes and no. So the only reason I will question that is, to some extent, dealing with crazy stuff like this is playing the game, right? But
Yeah.
it's also entirely fair and reasonable for your characters to say, nope, 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 nope. And I think we're going to need to have at least one action roll to reflect you trying to turn around and go the other way. And then there will
Okay.
be some lost time, of course, but then you
Yeah,
make a new
right.
plan, right?
Yeah.
So up to you, though.
I think given that that our travel is still going to be not successful, it's going to go trying to get through this is going to have consequences no matter whether we succeed or fail, and it's I think we should
Go straight through the middle.
just go around.
Let's go around, not to.
Yeah, try and avoid the war zone rather than navigate it.
Okay.
Hmm?
Um,
So I think that
Yeah.
that would be, what we could do here is, it makes the most sense that we can all build your roles. I think that it would be a much bigger clock if the goal was to try to get to where you were going and drive and actually get all the way through it. But if you're just trying to turn back around and get out of the danger zone and kind of end up like back where you started, that will be a smaller clock.
How about if we turn around and go towards White Line instead?
Okay. Yeah. So how about
Change
this?
our
What
route.
I'll say is, I'm going to have one action roll that can be a group roll if you want it. A group action, to basically say, nope, 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 never mind. So you would have to abandon your plan to go to the place where there's a known shelter, but and go another way, but that could get you to safety. So the way a group action would work is that one person leads the action, everyone else rolls the same attribute, which I guess we don't really have attributes in this. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but basically, um, the best result. So a group action here is to one person rolls, everyone else rolls the same attribute. For every failure, the leader takes one stress. But I believe that the way it works is like the highest result from everybody carries the day, but the leader takes extra stress for the having to carry the failures of the others, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let me do that because I have the least stress of all of us.
Okay. So I think in this context, then the die pool, I think that because that attribute is I don't know if this is like left over from the Forged in the Dark because
I think it is because
yeah.
that's the only example of that word in the
right.
entire
So
document.
I think in this context it would need to be like I think I see how this works. If for example one person in the group is the leader, but they don't have a trait that helps, they roll the number of dice that makes sense for them. But then someone else in the group who is not the leader maybe has a trait that helps, and they roll the appropriate number of dice for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the attributes in this case are essentially the traits, right? And so if you don't have a trait that helps, then you don't roll those dice. But for every failure is going to be every 1 through 3. So the way I think this works then is that you start with 1. So everyone is counting up and building the dice pool.
Mm-hmm.
You start with 1. If a trait helps you, you add your dice for that.
You take bonuses for pushing and consequences?
Yeah, and then so everyone figure out how many dice you would roll if you were doing it, and then the and Tara is the leader, so everyone is going to do their roll, and then we'll say the highest results from everybody, but also Tara's going to take stress for every 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I push myself, I'm going to go ahead and mark 2 stress.
And get 2 dice, yeah. Get 1 die.
Get an extra die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pushing too. Because I don't have any useful traits
I
on
think
this.
Outdoor Adventure has, so I have a trait. So we get 1 die for free and then a trait.
3 for your
so,
trait, yeah.
so 4 dice
Yeah.
I think is good enough for me. So I'm going to stick with 4 dice.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to do 1 for luck, 3 for the traveler, and then 1 because I'm pushing myself. So that's 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I did get a 6.
Okay. And Paul got a
6.
6. So there's 2 6s. So I think that means increased effect or do multiple things. And so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 stress for you, Tara. And so does that fill your stress track of 9?
I am 1 away.
Okay.
Oh my.
So what will happen if you fill it is that you will have to take a fear.
Okay.
But right now, if you're not full, then that's good. So what I'll say is with that increased 6, I'm going to allow that in if what you're doing is you're heading out of town on the road towards White Line, you can have moved 3 hexes in 2 ticks, which is a little further than I would have otherwise had you go. And that there are no, you don't suffer any damage or any other degradation or anything there.
Okay.
And
so about that far, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
But our navigator's a little stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's getting late, and
Yeah.
Tara is really stressed out. I think we should pull off to the side and try to rest here.
Yeah, it is midnight now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any storm in a port.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea now then is that you are just going to try the rest plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not going to go any further.
Yeah. So at this point, we build the engagement roll again.
Okay.
All right.
So once again, you start with 1, and anyone who has traits that want to.
If we're just camping on the side of the road, then I have outdoor. So 1 plus 3 is 4 dice. I do, unless someone else has something else to help me, I think that's all we have.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right, so 4 dice.
Okay.
Well,
but you got what? So there's a one again,
Yeah.
and bear in mind too. Uh, this is the game as designed, right?
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
point is
Oh,
that
yeah.
this is a crazy apocalypse where there's a million things happening. So it might be that you kind of just have to kind of keep going and deal with what's going
Yeah,
on,
but this
right?
is, but we also have like on this particular roll compared to the other one,
Mm-hmm.
we've got a couple of sixes for the reward for getting through.
Yeah.
So that
Right.
means it's much more likely for us to want to engage it.
Well, yeah. So you're going to have a desperate obstacle, but if you can deal with it, then
It's
you
a really
have
good place.
a really
Yeah.
good place. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, let's see. It is going to be desperate, which means 3 times the consequences.
Quince.
And then I think as yeah, okay, let's see. Um. Okay. All right. As you are driving out of town, you've left that battleground behind you, but then you as you are leaving it behind, all of a sudden there's a huge flash of light behind you, and you see that there's an enormous portal has opened above the city.
Oh my God.
Now, these portals look like sort of translucent spheres that you can kind of see darkness or stars through. And so you barely see it against the darkening night sky. But as you see it appear, and then there is a lot of strange flashes, you feel the earth starting to tremble underneath your car. And as you look back, you can see classic sci-fi disaster movie sinkhole starting to swallow up the whole city, and the leading edge of it is heading your way.
Must go faster. Must go
Yes,
faster.
and so basically there is a 6-step clock of you have to get far enough away to not be swallowed up by the sinkhole.
Okay.
So you are currently trying to get away from it. It's heading towards you. You have to do things to try to make this happen.
All right.
Anything?
Sorry, Guinness. We need to throw some of these tools out to lighten the load. So I'm gonna toss one unit of tools out of the car.
Okay.
So now we have 4.
All right. So
Actually, we could also decide what one of these tools is.
well, I was just going to say that
Yeah.
like right now, to have an effect, we still need to like do a roll, right?
Yeah.
It's
Oh
not
yeah. I
on
know.
that.
I understand.
Yeah. So, I mean, but if you want to say you're lightening the load by tossing some of the extra cargo, I mean, that is something that I would basically consider equipment that would increase your effect of your roll, right?
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So I'm gonna do that. So there's now 4 left, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
So,
So what is the one that you're tossing overside, and so we can because you can decide what it is, and it could be a big heavy thing that you're not.
that's exactly what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. It's
An anvil.
it's
A la Looney Tunes.
it's the battery array from a Prius.
Okay.
Oh God.
So
I drive a Prius. Those things are huge.
Exactly.
So what
Yep.
that means then is that this is equipment that I think would give you it would give you a high effect on the basis of
Right.
it's incredibly effective to throw it overboard and then have the Jeep be lighter. But yeah, so now we're setting up the this is a desperate
Yeah.
roll position, but potentially for high effect. So who's doing the Jim's doing the roll.
Oh, okay.
Is one of your traits helping you?
Yeah.
I mean, I would allow covering my ass because it's
Yeah,
basically
so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
destroying
that's-
someone
yeah,
else's useful
I
thing.
think this is that situation.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've still got some stress, so I'm going to push it.
Okay.
So rolling 5 dice.
Okay.
I rolled a 6 and no ones. My lowest roll is a
Okay.
2.
Well, so on the action roll, it only matters what the highest one is.
Okay, I rolled
Yeah.
a 6.
So on a 6, you succeed. Describe what it looks like.
Okay, so you know what? It's not a Prius, it's a Tesla battery pack. Because it goes over the edge, and as it falls into the sinkhole, there's a tremendous explosion as the thing catches fire and touches off a gas main.
Right. I
Yeah.
think you all hadn't even realized that the sound of the Jeep's engine and the wheels grinding along the road was so heavy until you dump that thing out the back, and then all of a sudden it's
And I
burst
think
of
the
get up and go.
I think the pressure wave gave us a little push.
Yeah. Well, and so that has definitely helped. You are at 3 out of 6 on the clock of escaping this sinkhole.
Okay.
All right, so we need 3 more.
Yeah. Maybe if the road itself is clogged, we could go
Off road, and so that would bring an outdoor
Mhm.
adventure into it. So
Yeah,
I could
we can go
go
off-road.
off-roading because my beloved Jeep
Jeep.
Okay.
can do my beloved Jeep,
Yeah.
whose name is Orson the Orc, can do that.
Nice.
Orson
Okay.
the orc.
Orson the Orc. I name all
Okay.
my cars, and Richard Pearson is no exception in naming vehicles.
So you have 1 die for luck. You're going to use your outdoor.
Yep, for 4 dice. Yeah.
Yep. And I think that because you have a Jeep that is effective in this, I'll allow this to be a great effect.
Okay.
Um,
46. Let's see. Let me look at my stress.
Or should it be 5?
and
because of
you
the
can
Jeep?
do take GM's consequences another way to do it instead of pushing yourself.
True.
No, the Jeep equipment
Yeah,
doesn't give you more dice.
No,
it
it just
increases
lets
the
me do
effect.
it. Yeah. All right. I'll push myself to get another die.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna push myself forward. All right. 5d6. Let's
Mhm.
do this. Off the road we go. Oh, that was not
Okay,
a very
so,
good roll at all.
Yeah, so that means that there is a 4 is the highest, and so that means once again you hesitate, back off, or accept 1 consequence as described by the GM. I think what's going to make sense in this is that you're going to consume. You realize that especially loaded up like this, your Jeep is good at going off road, but you think that you're gonna use extra fuel.
So I got degradation on my fuel.
Yeah.
Okay, because I have fuel in my inventory, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I marked degradation on that. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
That's
Let's see.
that's a consequence I can take.
Mm-hmm. I'm also just want to double check like how much fuel you should be using for
Oh, that's a good question.
regular driving around. Let's see.
Well,
Vehicles will always use fuel as they travel.
Oh,
However, the number of hexes they can travel on 1 unit of fuel is dependent on how effective. Okay, so a sports car might be... Okay, so they use up a fuel to basically to do a travel, but how far they can go in that is... So I think what we'll say here is you probably should have... We won't do it retroactively, but I think in the future, if you're driving along a road, you can get 3 hexes on 1 fuel.
okay.
If you are driving off-road, normally it would be the same for the Jeep, but right now you're going to use 1 right now for this, just for this.
Okay.
Because
How
it's...
about I've also got fuel in my inventory. I can use one of my fuels for in the city driving because I was navigating there. And
Well,
that way
however you
we're
guys
both-
want to handle it, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Okay. So in any case, the consequence here is that you're going to use up more fuel for this sort of extreme climb because you're trying to go uphill rapidly.
Yep.
Okay.
Horsing can do it, but it just takes extra gas.
Okay, but with the great effect that you got in exchange for that consequence, you managed to get to high ground, and kind of pull off and look as you see the expanding rim of this sinkhole seems to slow down its advance, and you've made it to safety. Although it sure looks like you got out of St. Victor at the right time because there's not
Yeah.
like what's left of it seems to be now at the bottom of a hole. So,
Yeah.
but
I think Guinness is very happy that he went with us.
yeah, but at the same time, you are looking around at that sinkhole and just realizing, oh, gosh, that was a close one. And then as you kind of turn around, you realize you are at a campground that has a lodge.
Hey, look.
Because
1930s
recall the
yes.
you had a pair of sixes for
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep. 1930s CCC era construction. It lasts forever.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you discover that like no under the stars for you tonight. No tents. You have
Not that there's anything
there's a
wrong
nice
with
sinkhole
that.
there on the yeah. Well, I mean, if you want,
I
to,
know
but-
my
but,
softer
you know,
companions prefer.
But there's cabins, and it looks like there's a lodge that actually has like it has a generator. It might have some other supplies and stuff too.
Yeah. Does it have a working bathroom?
Uh,
That's what the girl wants to know.
I think it has classic outhouse. You know, like it's
already
a
there.
well made one, but it's not indoor plumbing. It's it's not
Yeah.
like just a classic little tiny outhouse. It's one of those big rest stop ones. But
Okay.
It still allows.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that said, looks like it'll be a good place to hang out for a while. It's out of nowhere, out in the middle of nowhere that no one seems to be around, and so, yeah, seems
Right.
to be a
I
good
think let's
place.
rest the night.
Yeah.
Sleep
So
tonight.
it is currently like midnight as this was happening. So you would the new plan here is to go ahead and
Yes.
rest, right?
Yep.
Well, that was our rest action, right?
Yeah, that was our rest action.
What? Oh, was it? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
no,
our
no,
rest
no,
out.
no,
We
you are
yeah.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So, what that means now is that now that you have got your spot, that means you can take an amount of time up to 6 for how much time you spend here, and the amount of time ticks that you choose to spend, you can do that many rest actions.
Some of us are really stressed. We may want to
Yeah.
rest more than we.
Mhm.
Well, the cut loose. How much the cut loose action is the one that releases stress.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And so it looks like because the cut loose one rest action, but it says roll dice equal to your bond level, but
We
the
are
bond
bond
level,
Yeah.
I wonder if you're supposed to start with a bond level of 1. That kind of
I
makes
think-
sense, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so
otherwise
we'll say retroactively that's how that's supposed to work. I
Yeah.
think that seems like because the alternative would be to say you don't get to roll any dice to remove stress, but you can still increase your bond level from 0 to 1. Right? That would be the other
Right.
way we could interpret it. But I'm willing to allow that, especially since we established you all kind of knew each other, that
Yeah.
we could
Yeah.
say that you are starting at bond level 1 and that you can so cut loose is let's see, I think the rest actions is that like because I think the rest actions are things that each individual player is doing.
times, yeah, times converts
Yeah.
to rest actions, and then we pick
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
do with the
So
rest actions.
right. So if you decided to stay here for 6 ticks, you would you would be until noon the next day, and you would all be able to do 6 rest actions from the list here on page 15. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
All right. So we're and we assume that sleep is happening kind of along with that. You don't do an action for it.
Right.
Okay.
But so the options for your rest actions, there would be treat, which it would be if you had any injuries, but you don't actually have any of those at the moment. Eat is a 1 rest action thing where you can use up 1 snack to create a meal for yourself, and you tick the well-fed box. You should all have 1 well-fed box currently ticked, but as we get to dawn, you're going to have to uncheck that unless you
Eat your snack.
unless you eat,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yep.
And then there's repair, which costs 2 rest actions, and you can repair some degradation on your stuff. Cut loose is, as we just mentioned, you roll. It is if, for example, Jim wants to cut loose with Richard. Jim is rolling based on that. Richard does not automatically benefit from that unless Richard also takes the cut loose action, right?
Well,
Right.
yeah. How about if we do a circular cut loose where each of us spends 1 action cutting loose with the other, and we roll 1 die
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
to start with.
Yeah.
Well, and you could potentially do it more than once because we have.
Yeah,
more
if
than-
if
yeah.
if we need
Right.
to, but
If we
yeah.
need to.
All right, so
Yeah.
so first tick of rest is so
Okay, got 3.
okay, but I want to know how that plays out. I want to know what that scene is. It doesn't have to be a whole role played scene necessarily, but as Jim is cutting loose with what? Who, Richard or Tara?
Richard.
Okay.
So uh
We could talk about the weird piece of tech I have.
yeah.
I have a heat ray. We could talk about that. Bond
Uh-huh.
over that.
Okay. Yeah. If you're willing to show me what that is,
Yeah,
we
well,
can,
I'll explain. I found this scavenged in the crashed spaceship, and I've been
Huh.
carrying around ever since. I
It's
didn't.
funny that you said you found it in a crashed spaceship, because this looks an awful lot like the temperature converters that they had in the kaiju tech monster vaults. So
Really?
yeah, I mean, it seems to operate on the same principles.
But yeah, I don't want to use it unless I really have to, which is why I didn't pull out against those idiots that were bothering.
Well, I mean,
Guinness,
yeah,
but
they
yeah.
didn't deserve getting melted.
They didn't deserve getting melted, and I don't know how long this will actually work before it stops or anything. So it's kind of like my ace in the hole if things have really gone
Right,
south.
Right.
But yeah, I thought you might appreciate it.
Incidentally, you guys can cut loose with Guinness too if you want, and you can have bond with Guinness.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, so I will increase the bond level with Richard as a result of that cut loose action. Next.
Yep, I will cut loose with Tara. I'm gonna coax Tara to look at the stars with me.
Oh, really?
Yes, I know you're a city girl. I know you like being happy in your library, but look at that conjunction of Venus and Jupiter is burning up in the sky right there. Look at right there. See two bright dots. I mean, they're moving close together for the last 3 weeks, and this is about as close as they're going to get. And then they're going to go separate. But that's a conjunction. That's called a conjunction. And in the before times, I had apps that could tell me all these things months, years in advance. Now it's kind of like now I'm going to rely on high school and college astronomy to try to figure out when it might actually happen again. So I'm kind of like relearning the stars. it's cool and kind of like I'm learning the wonder of the stars. On the other hand, I do miss my apps. But yeah, that's Venus and that's Jupiter. Aren't they beautiful? I wish I had a telescope, but I don't.
Well, we
Maybe
can
if I
look
can
for
find
one,
one
but they're
scavengers.
heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're heavy though. Yeah,
Mhm.
can only carry so much. And sometimes you just need to carry something that will fight off a rampaging kaiju baby.
Hmm.
So
Maybe you can find a mini telescope in that spaceship you want.
that would be nice. That would be perfect. That would be absolutely perfect. I could go for that. All right, so that's my bond. So now I roll
1d6.
one die and see reduce that much stress.
I think
Two, not much, but
Yeah, but
and
you can do
I'll
it
take it.
again, right? Like you can
Yeah,
just depending
yeah.
on how long you hang out.
yeah, I want to cut loose with both Jim and Richard,
Okay.
and just take a moment to say, thank you for helping me get Guinness out of there
Mm-hmm.
and helping me help my friend. I really appreciate you guys following my lead on that and trusting me with that. It means a lot to me.
We're a team. Absolutely. Hopefully, an effective team
Yeah.
in this crazy, messed up world we find ourselves in.
Yeah. Yeah, but that yeah, that it just meant a lot to me that you guys were willing to stick your neck out for someone you don't know all that well or had never met before.
I think I still got a bit of a headache from that thing that Jim turned on.
Yeah. I got meds if you need some aspirin, I got it.
I'm okay right now. Okay, I'm not
Oh.
perfect, but I'm better.
And that just relieved all my stress.
Well,
All
so
right,
why
well done.
why did you roll 2? Did you are you
Because Jim and Richard.
Oh,
Yes,
right,
take
Cutting
two
loose with
ticks.
both.
Okay, yeah.
So take 2 6.
Because
Yeah.
I know that I was like severely stressed.
Right. Yeah. So remember you for each time you do it, you increase the bond level with that person by 1.
Yep.
I think was there a maximum for that? I think you might only be able to have up to 3 with an individual person.
Okay.
Before you can, you have to spend it for things. Um let's
Yeah,
see.
and I I want to repair my dictionary.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Get that whatever this is off of there.
Right. So for repair, you're going to make an appropriate action roll based on your all the same normal things. Any of your traits or equipment that might make sense. For example, a generic tool could be a tool that might make repairs extra effective or not, depending on how you want to do it.
Okay. I don't really have any equipment, but maybe Guinness has some shop cloths in those
Mhm.
generic tools that he has.
I mean,
And
that's
those
up to you
You
guys to
can
decide.
it's right now it's generic tools. You can pull something
Yeah.
out and declare
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. Um those oh god. I don't even know what the brand name is, but they're like paper towels that are like super heavy duty and they're good for like grease and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
they're just this almost solid blue matte thing that you can't
Sure.
like tear or whatever. I'm gonna say one of those tools is one of that.
Okay. So how about this? Wherever we're listing those, one of those tools is now defined
box
as
of-
being those, and we're going to mark 1 degradation of it to use
Yeah.
it for this, but it'll make a high effect for cleaning stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I don't know. I feel like it makes sense. Book smart is for
Yeah.
repairing a book.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be
46.
46.
Mhm.
I got a
Okay.
5 as a high roll.
So I 5, I believe, with the action roll is that there's going to be.
Either back off or take
You
a
know,
consequence.
you know what? Actually, what I'm going to say is the consequence here is just that degradation. Like it wouldn't have
Okay.
been an automatic degradation, but now it is. It is one, but
Okay.
you can do it
Okay.
otherwise.
Yeah, maybe I had to use more than one wipe because this stuff is horrible.
Right. And so, we mark one of the degradations, and you have basically 3 degradation worth of repair that you can do. I think your book only had 1. You can use it on anything except consumables. Like you can't replace fuel with your magic washcloths.
Okay.
But if anything else would have been degraded, like you could repair it, like if there was a vehicle or something. But
Okay.
was there did your kaiju stunner suffer any degradation, Jim?
We didn't narrate one. So
Okay, no, that's fine. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you had extra that aren't
Yeah.
needed, but that's all right. So Tara has now used 4
Yep.
rest
Yeah.
actions.
yeah,
Right,
I've
so
only used one, so I'm going to use one tick for eating.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what? I'm going to use 2 actions for prepare.
Okay.
So that's going to be me talking to Guinness specifically about the specific information.
Right. Who is it
that
that actually stopped
yeah,
by?
figuring out who it
Yeah.
was, where in that town,
Mm-hmm.
where in Henriette they were actually going to, any other details. Yeah, so that brings me up to 4 ticks.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to cut loose with Guinness and talk to him about the fungus, talking about his life outside of the town, try to get to know him a little more, because I'm going to create this bond, willing
Right.
to stick my
So-
neck out for him.
Yeah. So you won't roll any dice to remove stress now, but you now will have a 1 level bond with him.
Right. Okay. So that brings me up to 2. I will eat. That brings me up to 3. What else do I have here? Craft, prepare. Yeah, so I'm going to study some of my records and information I have for about how what I've heard about spaceships and other stuff. So basically,
Okay.
continuing to work on my goal to clock.
Oh
so
yeah. All right.
so that takes me up to 5.
Okay.
So I'm ahead of everybody now.
All right. And I'll do 1 to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'll bring myself up to 5 by cutting loose with Guinness to get my bond level up with him.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
And
you all did eat, right?
Yeah, we all did eat.
Okay.
So
basically,
we'll stay at well fed. Yeah.
Yeah, you would tick another well-fed box from eating, but then at dawn you are unchecking one. So,
right.
all right. So 5 ticks starting at midnight is basically going to be it's like 10 a.m.
Yeah, I have. Yep. So that's 5 ticks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we're ready to get back on the road.
Yeah. Unless you wanted to search the campground for more resources beyond just the the lodge that you found.
Yeah,
right
I
away.
think it's worthwhile to do.
There might be
search.
something
Yeah.
here. There might be food. There might be fuel. There might be something.
Yeah.
You definitely there's a number of cabins kind of spread around and
Yeah.
and some.
I
other
would
stuff.
like to. Can I move items from my inventory to the car?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
You
going to
can
move
just
my.
only ever have like anytime you're not
Yeah.
in the car, you only have what you put in your 4 slots.
Right, so I'm going to move my fuel into the car,
Mhm.
so that I have a free inventory slot.
All right. All right. So
Now, if we search, is it going to be each of us rolling our own searches, or it's going to create an engagement roll?
right, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So you found the lodge that was safe enough for you to rest out at, but because it was dark, you didn't go wandering too far afield. But there's now that
Right.
it's daylight, you're seeing that there's definitely more to this campground.
Yeah. So let's search.
Yeah, I'm in favor of this.
All right. So once again, you're starting with 1d6. Is anyone using their traits?
I have Searcher. I am the
Yeah.
lead, but this is
Yeah.
You're in
my
charge
jam.
there. I'm gonna
Yeah.
assist you.
Mm-hmm.
So I spend two.
Well, no, for engagement roll, you don't assist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no
So-
assistance
so-
for,
so
as for an
it's
action
40
roll. Right. Okay.
So
okay.
it's 4d6.
Right. And if anyone else also has traits, you can also add to that. But
I don't think I have any that's useful for this.
okay. All right. So yeah, go ahead and you can roll 4d6. Well, also if you want to take extra time on it, you can add d6 as well.
Let's take a chicken out of d6.
Okay.
We're
So
in a safe
basically, right
spot, yeah.
now, the cost is 1 unit of time. You can
Yeah.
take up to 3. So if you're going to take 2,
Yeah, let's
you're
take
gonna,
2.
you add 1 more d6
Yeah.
for the extra.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Ooh, look at that.
That's a nice
oh my
roll.
gosh. Yeah. So this is going
No
to happen for you
ones.
sometimes where not only many 6s reward, you'll achieve more than you expect. You'll find more, travel further, be more prepared, more downtime actions. Plus, the 4 as the lowest result means a secure obstacle. Minor setback is in your way. So that means all of your rolls are going to be secure, right? Like there's like less desperate action.
Mhm.
But also I think, yeah, you know what? I think that you discover as you start exploring some of these other cabins is that several of you pass several of them that look like they're kind of like like you pass, they're just empty, right? Like you look through it looks like they've like someone literally just went through and took out they're just bare inside. But there's one that you can see from a distance as you approach that it's still got like furniture and stuff inside. You can see through the windows, this cabin. But the thing that kind of gives you a little bit of pause is that surrounding it is a herd of little tiny creatures. Hundreds and hundreds of them. They're about the size of like a duckling. And they're just these weird little purple potato looking things on 2 stubby little legs. They have like a little weird antenna dealy bopper sticking out of the top of their little potato bodies. No faces that you can see, but there are hundreds and hundreds of them, all just kind of standing in a crowd around this one cabin. And so to approach, and they're not like in the cabin, they're just like in a circle around it. And so they don't seem to be doing anything that you can see, but you'd have to like kind of walk through their little group to get to that cabin. But you can see through the windows that the cabin's definitely still got stuff in it.
Any ideas, guys?
I mean,
Or we just walk through the potato people?
I mean, it would seem impolite to kick them. They're not threatening. Let's just kind of
Step
step carefully and tiptoe through them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm thinking Mr. Dictionary is not useful here, Tara.
No. Well, that would be impolite.
Hold on. I go back to the car and
Uh-oh.
out of the tools, I pull out a shovel.
Okay.
And
So now we have a chop. Now we're
and
shovel
so
to find
yeah.
gold.
So I'm going to add a shovel to my inventory here.
Mm-hmm.
And
So So now we're
Now
down
there's
to
2
three.
units of tools in the.
There's 3 general tool units from Guinness. One is a chamois, one is a shovel.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
you're
no,
putting
I'm,
this-
I'm taking the
Oh,
shovel.
you're
It's
taking
in my
okay.
inventory now.
So there's 3
Yeah.
general units and the chamois with 1 unit of degradation in the
All
car.
right.
Yeah. So I'm going to use the shovel to just kind of gently push them out of the way to make a path to the cabin.
Yeah. So I
Um,
think that is likely to have great effect. But let's have the action roll to see how that goes. I don't know that any of your traits particularly.
My traits
help
aren't
you.
really going to help, but
Yeah.
you guys could spend some stress and give me
So
bonus dice.
you have bond now, so you could certainly
Yeah.
help. Guinness could help too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that Guinness will also help.
Okay.
Which just means he gives you 1d6 extra.
Okay, so I got 1 to start, 1 for, and I'm going to take 1 for pushing myself. Who else wants to donate some dice?
I will donate a die.
Okay.
So
Just
does
make
that mean we
sure.
lose?
So
Yeah, how's that work?
the way assistance works, other than the NPC is different. NPC can only add 1d6, but they don't have stress. But for a player character to assist, they mark an amount of stress equal to the bond level with the character they're helping, and then the player being helped gets that many dice.
Okay.
Only one player may assist on a roll.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So if you're gonna assist, then I won't.
Oh, only one
Okay.
player can assist? Okay.
Yeah, but you get 2 die.
Okay. All right. So I've got one for luck,
Mm-hmm.
2 from 2 from Tara, and 1 from Guinness.
Yeah.
So it's 4d6.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
So a 4 is still a 4 is not, the worst. There's a potential consequence, but this is also a secure situation. Right. So I think
Degradation on the shovel?
no, I think what it actually so
Okay.
So the consequence that you are going to need to I think that you discover when you go to sort of gently nudge these little things away from out of the way with the shovel,
Uh-huh.
the ones that you nudge just fall over and start going they just start making that noise. They just tip over and start making that crying noise. And I think that I'm gonna just say whoever. So since it's you going through,
Yeah.
I'll suggest that you need to take a box of stress just for
Okay.
making
Okay.
the little potato things cry.
Okay.
Oh,
I was thinking.
you're a
yeah.
cruel man, Jim. You're
Yeah.
a cruel man.
Okay.
I think you've barely done anything to the shovel. I think the shovel's fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But I think it's just these things are they're
majorly annoying.
Yeah.
I was thinking that another possibility would be an injury. Annoying.
Oh well, I think in this context it's not that serious.
Okay.
But
right.
or how about this?
Uh-huh.
We could have it be like a level 1 harm rattled, but you can choose to try to resist it.
Yeah, that's yeah. So
Okay.
I'm going to try to resist that. I roll a number of traits that I have. I don't have any injuries or fear.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually probably going to come out worse than just 1 stress, but
well, yeah, but that we're engaging with the mechanics. I think that
right.
makes sense.
So, but I rolled a 6. So
yeah. So well, and for that matter, yeah. So it would be 6 minus
the highest result.
Highest. So basically, you take no stress because despite being a monster that has just traumatized these poor little potato people, you are able to soldier on.
I mean, People are always complaining to me. That's just impressed me.
You regularly
you worked
reduce
a
people's
nice
Yeah.
day.
ears.
So as I'm going through, I'm going through. Yeah. Write a ticket.
So I think too that once you have cleared the path, everyone else can just follow where you went through.
Right,
The
right.
little potatoes don't fill the space again.
Yeah.
That's good.
I want
Okay.
to think that the part of the stress that Tara feels is she tries to pick them up and put them on their feet again, and then they don't.
Yeah.
Just
So I
they
think
fall back over.
yeah, literally any of them that you try to pick back up and set back on their feet just tip right back over again. And you notice that all of the other ones around it, they don't have an obvious face, but they seem to like turn around like they're facing it and just looking down at it and just looking down at it like standing in a
Well,
circle around it.
they have eyes all over.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so in any case, though, you make it through, and inside this little cabin, I think you find, let's say, 4 snacks and 2 fuel.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay.
Put those in the car.
Yeah.
So now there's 3 units of fuel in the car. And you said 4 snacks?
Yep.
Pretty
Okay.
sweet.
All right.
What I'm going to do is okay, you know what? No, we can't, I can only eat during a rest action. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think it's time to get on the road.
Now it's time to roll.
Yeah.
All right. So, where are you headed? Probably back towards St. Victor's, not
No.
especially
no,
viable.
How about off-road south to get back on the road to Henriette?
Okay.
Basically, like go like this way.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
way.
So I think despite what I said earlier, the way that it'll work is like 1 unit of fuel for 3 hexes on a road or 2 hexes off road.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll go 2 hexes off-road to get to
Mhm.
here.
So
Yep.
yeah, I'll mark the fuel off my character sheet. Now 2 boxes.
Now,
of
is that
freedom.
one?
Well,
It's
so
not
that,
one unit
that,
of fuel.
that
It's
is-
one
well,
degradation.
And don't move yet. Right. It's
Oh,
one
okay.
degradation of.
Yeah,
unit,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I have 2
Okay.
degradations used.
Right.
Yeah.
And remember too that like that's the plan. So
That's
we'll
the
do an
plan
engagement
once-
roll
That's the
to
plan.
see how that
Yeah.
how that goes. Also, for that matter, you can, if the idea is just travel, you can have the plan be to go further than that, right?
Oh,
You-
okay. So
you
we can
don't-
have a plan to go.
You don't
2
have to
hexes.
necessarily do a plan that is like it is like 1 unit of time. You can
Oh, okay.
decide
So
how,
let's plan
how
to
long are you
drive to
traveling?
Henriette.
Yeah.
That's a bigger plan.
Right.
See what's
Well,
that way.
and also it just means that like the longer of it that you go, right, it is going to be you can have travel time up to 6. So
Okay.
if you're doing 1 tick is 2 hexes to
2,
get back onto the road,
3,
then
4.
3, 4, 5.
I'm counting 5.
Yeah. Yeah, so you could potentially do it. And it's just a matter of depending on what the actual obstacle is, then you might like you're building into that a bigger stakes, right? With the longer
Right.
trip.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But at the same time, you can use up to 6 to do your travel. So, in order to accomplish it, you'll have to achieve the obstacle, right?
Right.
So you're getting ready to travel. That's the plan.
That's the plan.
Do you have fuel enough to do that many?
Let's see. We need
Yeah.
You
one.
are
Yes,
gonna
we have
pass
we
a
have more
place-
than enough.
Yeah, there's going to be a place where there's potentially gas available on the way. But if you want to
Yeah.
just head on all the way over there, then you can certainly do that. And so that's the plan. So let's put together our engagement roll.
All right.
So any traits that help? It sounds like traveler seems like
Yep.
would. You're off road, which would
Yeah,
probably
we're doing
be
off road, so
outdoor.
outdoor. Yep.
Yeah. And that's that's probably it, right?
Yeah, I think those are the two traits that we're
Okay.
gonna rely
So
on.
you're going to have 7d6 there. No injuries or fears at the moment.
Nope.
Not spending extra time or looking out ahead of time. So this is 76 for your engagement roll. And with the
You wanna
goal,
roll,
the
Lee, or
goal
shall
being
I?
is to reach Henriette.
Go ahead.
Okay, I will roll 76 for the engagement roll. Okay.
So once again, you've got multiple sixes, but also a one.
Also a one.
Also a one. So you're going to have
That's
a
okay.
desperate obstacle, but that's okay because we're playing the game. You know.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
You don't want there to be no obstacles. That's no fun. But you will achieve more than you expect when you arrive. When you arrive, if you can pass through the desperate obstacle. So, desperate obstacle. By default the positions are desperate, which means triple consequences for whatever happens. And let's see. I'm trying to think. Okay. I think. Oh no.
Oh no, what are you going to
Well,
GM?
I'm going to give everyone the power to veto this, but one of the options is betrayal. Someone reveals their true intentions and has betrayed the group, and it just occurred to me is like, what if Guinness was really just leading you into a trap? But I'll let you veto that. That doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think it feels like
It doesn't.
fits
I
with
certainly
what's
wasn't
going on.
playing that before, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just so that was a first thought. But you know what? I think.
What about
Oh.
if one of the ships from the battle yesterday crash landed in the road?
Well, so we could definitely do that. One of the other things I was looking at too is collateral damage, which is basically just it's like you would all have to take a harm, like a level 3 harm, to or attempt to resist it.
Some really
but, you know-
bad roll. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? How about we do that? How about what happens here is, you're driving along, and you kind of gradually notice that like all of the grass and like all of the trees on the sides of the road like are bare, like all the leaves have fallen off and all the grass is dead. And you kind of belatedly realize, oh,
I kind of don't feel very good.
yeah. What's going on here? Yeah, and I think that you are all at what happens is that on the way you pass by what looks like a crashed spaceship, but you belatedly realize that you think that you have all been level 3 harm irradiated. Now, what that means in this context here is you can still do a resist roll that would resist a resist roll for a level 3 only makes it a level 2 instead.
Right.
And then but you can still do that, and you can also use equipment as armor, marking 1 point of degradation on a piece of equipment for each level of harm you wish to avoid, and we would of course have to explain why it makes sense for that to happen. So
yeah.
So if you were to all be taking the full level 3 harm, you need assistance on all rolls.
Oh my god.
A level 2 harm means you are going to subtract 1 die from every roll.
Yeah.
But it's certainly better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but like I said, you can also use equipment to.
Yeah. Resist and use equipment. So.
Right.
Okay.
Well, so you can. Well, it says you can resist any injury to lower it by 1 level, or you can use equipment as armor, marking 1 point of degradation on equipment for each level of harm you wish to avoid. Now, remember, degradation on a consumable like a snack or something is not. That's not this.
That's not equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not equipment. I don't think I have anything
Mhm.
in my inventory that really counts as shielding.
Right. Now, it
Yeah.
could be you could decide one of the generic tools,
Is a Geiger counter.
or a Geiger counter, or for example, radiation blankets, like like lead blankets.
Right, that would
Um,
work for one of us, correct?
Oh, we have the game designer in the chat saying resist
Oh,
and using two equipment works. So it
oh,
isn't. You don't have to choose. But hello. So
This is a lot of fun.
yes.
hi.
So I think in this context, though, you're passing this crashed spaceship. Um, but so that's just an example for because you have those tools, right? And so
Yeah.
it would be in order to use those, you would need to mark a degradation for those, right? But that would be an example of a piece of equipment that could, in the fiction, justify.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say that my tool that I'm carrying that is not related, that has not been described what it is actually my Kaiju Research Lab badge.
Okay.
And one of the things that it has is a radiation counter in it, and so
Oh,
by now the thing about those radiation counters is that they're cumulative, right? And so you can't like clear it out and use it again. But by watching it's going up, we can um, avoid the worst areas of radiation. Maybe it's like this gave us some warning and we sped up.
yeah.
And
And
can I mark degradation on my tool to protect everybody? Like mark 3 and
Um,
protect all 3?
I think that
I think it makes sense in the fiction for this.
right. I think it would, and so each point that you mark would be one level of harm for one person.
Okay, so I'm going to mark 3 levels on it, making it useless,
Mm-hmm.
um, and or maybe repairable in the future.
Right.
And so that reduces it for everybody.
So
And
everybody would be taking a level 2 version instead.
right.
right,
And then you could potentially resist that to make it a level 1.
That makes
yes.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and resist.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to resist that.
Okay.
So 2 dice.
Well, and remember, like, so you can resist, and then of course you have your own equipment that we could potentially
Right.
justify.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't have anything unless we go into those
Yeah.
stores.
I think that within the fiction, I think it makes sense to just go to
Yeah.
one
To
level.
one
Well,
level.
and that way we're interacting with the mechanic a little. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So my resistance roll is 4, so I take 2 stress.
Okay. Yeah. And so that makes it a level 1. I think. Let's just call that.
Nauseous.
I was going to say radiation tummy ache.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. Anyone else doing the resistance?
Yep. Okay, I will try. I didn't do so
Okay.
well.
So that means with a 3, you're still going to take 3 stress.
Yep. I
And
have a level 1 minor radiation tummy ache as well.
mhm. Yep.
Okay.
And so that's going to cost 2 stress to reduce it to level 1 for Tara.
Okay.
And and so I think everyone is
Ugh.
yeah. I think I'm just thinking about Guinness because they don't have stress, but you know what? I'll just rule that like in the same way that you used your radiation thing.
Mhm.
Like I'll say
He
he's
benefits from that too.
in
yeah.
the fiction. He's kind of in the same boat as the rest of you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what I want to also suggest here, though, is that in particular, because of Richard's goal, you can certainly mark one box of your find crashed spaceship goal. And the only reason it's not more, because there's obviously a crashed spaceship, is that right now it seems like it would be extremely hazardous to approach.
Yes. Okay, I'll take that. So
So,
now my 2.
so Yeah, so you know where there is one, but
You just need to figure out a way to approach it.
To approach
Right,
it, yeah,
right.
but not get irradiated. Yeah,
mhm.
that's cool. That works.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as unless you want to have us briefly envision a little bit of exploration around that, we can otherwise say that you continue on your way to towards Henriette.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
And I think it makes sense for us to arrive at that spot.
Okay. Which one
Which
is
spot?
which
Oh,
one is
that
that
spot
that you
there.
put it on?
It's it's
The bed.
it's the rest spot.
The
Okay,
rest
sure.
spot,
Yeah.
that's not bad.
Right. Yeah. So so I think yeah you have arrived, and that was 5 ticks of so 10 hours plus, and you had spent
We left at 10 o'clock.
no it was because you,
Oh,
you
we also spent the 2 ticks searching.
right
Yeah, we
yeah
did
so
searching.
basically I think
So we
yeah
arrive at
so you would
midnight.
be arriving at like 10 p.m.
10 p.m. Okay.
Yeah. So it's definitely dark, but you are coming into this community, and I think you don't necessarily know. Well, what you know is rumors about this place, right? The rumors were that it was a nice place, but you really don't know yet, and you're arriving in the dark. So,
Yeah.
so the question then is: you have found a place that theoretically should have shelter, but obviously, in order to attempt to actually rest there,
You need to
must
make an
search.
engagement roll.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
1 die, 3 die plus searcher.
Well, we're not doing a lookout roll.
you're right. You're not doing okay. So
Unless you want to.
traveler,
Yeah,
maybe.
I think
Yeah.
traveler makes sense.
Yeah. I think Lee Terra's traveler is better for this. You're right.
Okay.
Okay. So we're doing search roll for
For
someplace
shelter.
for shelter.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing a rest engagement roll, which
Okay.
means, you know, finding it, or maybe we encounter something after we've picked out a spot.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
seems.
Yeah.
I
Make
was
sure you
looking-
marked all the fuel degradation you used for that long
Yeah.
drive.
Okay. So how many hexes did we?
We went 5, so you need to mark 5 degradation.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
marked 2.
So you mark 2, so I need to mark 3 more.
Mhm.
All right, so I'll mark one of my inventory that clears out that one entirely. So then I need 2, and one.
We have some in the
Yeah.
Jeep trunk.
Yeah. We have 2 full units of fuel, and one with 1 degradation. Okay, that covers all our fuel costs. Okay.
All right. So, you are you got the fuel, and so you're building the engagement roll for the rest.
Yep.
Right. When we did the travel,
Mhm.
we got the double 6s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, so part of what I was thinking there was building in that you found the crashed spaceship, which was part of Richard's goal.
Right. So he gets a tick on his goal.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that and that's theoretically something you could go back and explore more, right? If you figure
Right.
out a way to make it safer to
Safer, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's what I was thinking. But if you guys feel like you think there ought to be more, we can talk about that.
No, that's fine.
Right.
That's fine.
Let's put it on the
So-
map.
Yeah. Sure. I was going to see if I could find a little radiation symbol.
That would be perfect.
But I couldn't though. I didn't find one. Let's see. But we can here I found a little.
There we go.
All right. So we were still building that roll, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Got it.
So we've got 4 so far.
Mm-hmm.
1 luck, 3 for my traveler.
Mhm.
Anything else?
I think that's what we got.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So then that's 46.
Okay, look at that.
Got a 6. Got a 6 and no ones.
Right, yeah.
Nice.
So that means with the lowest result being a 3, that means there is still a risky obstacle, but there is you will achieve just what you set out to do, which is of course rest. But the risky obstacle, let's so we're in a risky situation, but I think yeah, I think that
I have a mechanical question
Yeah.
before we go any further.
Mhm.
What is the difference between attempting a rest roll in a place with a rest symbol compared to one that doesn't?
I have been envisioning it as primarily a fiction question of
Okay.
like where you are and what makes sense in the fiction and how that would, because different things might happen if you're just sleeping out under the stars versus
Okay.
in a building, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I've been approaching it, but it is a fair question, because as far as making the road map. So there's certainly locations of places. So when we say that there's a place with ammo or a place with tools or whatever, right? Like there are examples of what sorts of places those might be. But I think it's a question of like I've been approaching it as primarily a thing of what are the sorts of places that are in that location. And so, for example, if you are going to a place where, if you're going to a place where you want tools, you go to a place where you're expecting to find tools, and then in the fiction, it makes sense that there will be tools there, right? And same with shelter is that you will have a place that's maybe inherently fictionally safer, but I don't know that there's a specific mechanic that makes it different.
Okay.
Okay,
So I guess for shelter it's not as important, but if it was like, oh wait, okay, we need ammo, we kind of have to go to a place with the ammo symbol in order to search.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
it works a lot better.
You're a lot less likely to find ammo in a place that wouldn't obviously be expected to have it.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah, and so that's kind of it in the fiction. Yeah, and so in the chat it says the symbols are an adaptation in my own thing in the game on which this is based. You can rest anywhere. It could be an Airbnb. You know? So I think in this context, what it just means is that like there are places where people can get shelter. You're not just having to camp out. And again, it's just like with a lot of stuff going on, you could imagine that it's probably safer once you're there, right? Yeah. And there are going to be obstacles that could happen anywhere because these things are moving around and various forces interacting and so on. But in any case, right now we have a risky. I think that what you've got here is as you are driving into Henriette, there is a military checkpoint.
Oh boy. Well, this is not great.
Well, it depends, right? Like it's like it's not automatic that you think the military is bad, I suppose. It's right. It depends.
Yeah.
But certainly it's potentially risky. And I think that let's see. I think that it's a military checkpoint, and you watch as well, here we can. I think that there's a lineup of
vehicles at the checkpoint.
Yeah, well, I take it back. It's not like a whole line, right?
Okay.
I don't think there's that many cars on the road, but you can see that there are 2 vehicles empty that have been pulled over to the side of the road just in front of the checkpoint. And so, this is what it is. You get the impression, looking at what they're doing. Oh, there's a sign that says, civilians must surrender vehicles to enter Henriette.
Oh no, that. Oh no, 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 no. You guys can get out and walk if you like. I am not giving up my beloved Orson. No. Orson the Orc stays with me. Sorry.
Well, so that's this is a checkpoint on this road.
Yep.
So I think that you had to get close enough to in order to get close enough to realize that's what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely close enough. They've seen you driving up. Like, you're not right there.
Yeah.
But they saw you coming, and you would see you turn around.
Right. I think what's necessary here is bullshit.
Well,
and convincing them that we are not, in fact, the kind of people whose vehicle they need we need to surrender.
Right,
what do you think, Lee?
I am with Jim.
All right.
I do not want to carry all of this crap.
All right. All right, then we're gonna.
And also, we need to make sure that we can get Orson back if they do try and take it.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're going to try to win this on bullshit.
Okay, so tell me how that happens.
I'm going to kind of baffle them with bureaucratic doublespeak, the kind of thing that I learned how to do covering my ass at Kaiju Research Labs, and explain that I am, not. I mean, I might look like a civilian, but I'm a military contractor, and so therefore, I need to keep my.
That makes me just a driver, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, clearly.
That's why you're sitting in the back.
I'm the driver, the secretary, and then the mechanic to keep the car running.
So, yeah, I think my covering my ass trait should apply. I would like some help from my friends.
Yeah. So one of
if you guys got any stress to spare.
Yeah. So one of you.
My stress is at 7 boxes at the moment.
Well, and remember, filling up the stress it means you'll take a fear.
Yeah.
But then you start your stress clock over again, and so it seems reasonable to me, like, that this is the sort of thing that you might be willing to.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So let's go for it.
So I'm gonna push myself.
Okay.
Take the full stress. Add a fear.
Okay. So when you are, so you once we deal with this roll, you will have to we'll figure out what the fear is.
Yeah.
So right now, you are pushing yourself, so you're gonna take a fear, right? But it'll be basically after this happens.
Yeah, after the roll. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are extremely stressed, but you're doing your best. So you've got your 1 plus your 3 for your cover your ass, plus 1 for pushing yourself, and then
plus 2 more from me to because I'm going to take 2 stress and use my bond with him.
Okay. So it makes 7, right?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can only have one person help you.
Right.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
So that's 7d6.
So, and I think,
okay. I got a 6
nice.
and no 1s.
Okay. So what I was actually just gonna say, you know what? I was just gonna say we didn't really establish the effect or the clock for this, but you know what? I'm going to have it be a 4-step clock, and that with your 6
usual effect.
Yeah. I think usual effect, unless you can justify some piece of equipment you have that would have.
Yeah, I was gonna say my KRL badge, but it's fully degraded.
Yeah.
So I can't really use that.
But yeah, so I think that you are successful enough in your bullshit that that they don't immediately laugh at you. But they seemed hesitant. It's like, huh, okay, no one told us that we were getting any people come through. We're gonna have to call this in. If you wouldn't mind just waiting right here. In fact, they actually kind of gesture like you should pull over to where those other cars are parked. But they don't, like, they're checking, but they don't seem to have just denied you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you have
any other ideas? That's
two
all I
clocks.
got.
Let's see.
Hey, you know what?
What?
How about a bit of bribery?
Bit of bribery.
Yeah, like maybe one of the units of snacks that's in the it's in the car is a bottle of bourbon.
Yeah, I was gonna go with Twinkies.
The game designer says you should just floor it, and
that would have consequences of its own.
they're distracted on the radio now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up to you.
I
though.
mean, that is a possibility. That would probably be outdooring, just running for it. It would have consequences. of its own.
My personal feeling is, speaking as someone who's experienced in these matters, that bourbon is the appropriate thing.
Yeah.
So
Bourbon. Got any
Yes,
bourbon?
and this
Yes,
is some
we
of
do.
the snacks that you found in the.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
we're
Bourbon.
we're gonna use
Okay. So I think that that would be an equipment that would have high effect. If this is if your role is successful, but I think the idea here now is like, look, we're very busy. If we give you this, can you just let us go ahead?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Though we might, it's like, we're so busy, in fact, that we have no time to drink this bourbon, and it would be a shame for it to go to waste. So why
Right.
don't you keep it?
Especially for hardworking people such as yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, that makes sense in something that might work, but we have to go ahead and see if it works, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So how is that?
So
Let's see.
who's making this roll? Is this still Jim or?
I think this is still Jim. This is
Yeah,
Okay.
Jim.
All right.
Jim's being face again. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Bill's
all
being a
right.
I'll
face.
stress. I'll spend stress to give you 2 extra,
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
because
And-
another one of those snacks is the really good
do
chocolate.
I have a fear now because of last?
I have.
the
Oh
previous
yeah,
roll?
yeah, yeah.
I know. I have a
Let's figure
fear.
that
We
out
both have
because
fears.
yeah. So I think let's do that. So when you fill up on stress, you erase 9 of the old stress and add whatever remains. So like if you were at
Yeah.
8 and needed
14.
to add 2,
Yeah.
you would
You'd still have
you'd
one left,
have
yeah.
one left over. But when this occurs, consider the current situation and the cause of their recent increase of stress as you write down a fear for them. Doesn't have to be something big and dramatic. However, moments of high stress are often set off by something small, like a straw that breaks the camel's back. In the future, when they see the thing they fear, they'll be brought back to this very moment. It will become difficult, but not impossible to do normal actions. And so fears are when you have that's one of the things we've been skipping through on all these action rolls is like, do any injuries or fears impact you?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna go with the military for mine.
That seems
Okay.
awfully broad.
But it's an example right in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, it might be broad, but I'm gonna go with it because it seems
Yeah.
appropriate. Like they're gonna
Yeah.
take away arson.
Mm-hmm.
Can I have, in order for not to be like the same between the two of us, I'm going to say checkpoints of any kind, whether it's military or somebody else.
Yeah, like it doesn't for you it's not even about who it's doing it. It's just this process of like someone gets to decide if you get to go through or not. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay,
instead of,
but what that means is that's
I have
going to
one
be a
fewer
fear that
die.
absolutely applies to this
Oh,
new
yeah.
role. So you're gonna
okay,
you're gonna subtract. I think you just subtract 1, right? For one
right. So
fear.
now it's 66 instead of 70.
Yeah. All right.
Oh,
look
wow.
at that.
Oh my
Oh my
God.
God.
Holy
Okay,
Hannah.
so for those who cannot see our die roller, in that 66 roll, you got 4
4
sixes.
sixes.
Amazing.
4 sixes, and the other 2 were a 4 and a 5. So So I think that so you are like the all three of you, or even Guinness, there are extremely stressed right now, on the verge of having like a panic attack, and you're just doing whatever you can. And but then, so I guess role play your offer, your presentation of this bribe, Jim.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jim is not the kind of person whose panic comes to the surface very much. He's internally, his heart's hammering, his palms are sweaty, but he's like said the line that we talked about earlier about be ashamed if this if this were to go to waste. Can I just leave this with you? And so and internally he's okay, let this work, it's just come on these are just like the union guys back in KRL. This will be fine. So I mean, what kind of bonus? I mean,
so I wanted you to just role play so that I can role play the responses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah. So there you go.
I think yeah. So you're feeling very stressed about it, but you're presenting this option. You're just please, and but you see the guy kind of look down at it, kind of pause. Looks at the guy who is kind of over, starting to make a call on the radio, and kind of. Well, what a shame that you're not able to enjoy because you're in such a hurry on such important business. You know what? I think I'd better give you one of these. And he reaches into like a folder and he hands you this little placard that says "Official Vehicle." And he says, "You just put that on your dashboard and no one will touch it."
Okay.
And if you need someone to take it off your hands, we'll just see that it is given a good home. And please enjoy your stay in Henriette, sir.
Okay.
And so yeah, you're given this little sign that says official vehicle, and you're waved through the checkpoint into Henriette. And
Wow.
I think that as you make your way in, there is just your immediate impression is that first of all, not a lot of people driving around because
because the military's consuming.
But at the same time, out of all the places you've been in the last several months, seems relatively under control. Like it's quiet, but it's not filled with like monsters or rubble or and all of that.
A giant sinkhole.
Yeah. And I think that I'm going to go ahead and say that you are driving through the town, and that I'm going to just go ahead and narratively give us some final beats here, but I think at the exact same time, Tara, looking out of the left side of the car, sees a library building that looks like it's been closed but is in good shape otherwise.
A Carnegie Library.
Sure. And then on the other side of the car, Jim looks out the window and sees Steve from KRL just standing on the corner.
Yay!
And so both of you can mark progress on your goal clock. But also, it seems like you have found a safe place to rest. And so we could do rest actions now at this time. But I think as we're close to our usual finishing time, that we'll go ahead and draw our session to a close for this time. But what a fun game.
Yeah.
Yay.
Was.
So,
That was a blast.
just a reminder to everyone, this is Apocalypse Roadtrip by Mynar Lenahan. I hope I'm saying that right. And we had a lot of fun playing it, and people should check it out. It is. I will make a link to the itch page.
I want to play that again.
For this game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
make
it's
a
lot of
map
fun.
too and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, the map we're using is the example one from the book, but it has all these cool mechanics and rules for how to make your own custom one and expand it, and yeah, some neat stuff. And also, now we know a little bit about how Blades in the Dark, Forged in the Dark rules
Forged in
work.
the Dark game works. Yeah. I mean, I've watched a lot of people play that, but it's my first real experience actually playing it myself.
Yeah. All right. So thanks everybody for listening and or watching, and we will be back for more adventure next week on so many levels.
Yay.